It's May 3rd, and this is the Giant Bombcast for May 3rd, 2022. I'm Jeff Gerstmann. It's May.
Finally.
It's finally May. I don't know. I don't know what May even means anymore. All time has lost all meaning. May used to be like some real road to E3 type shit. It's real. A billion meetings and pre-show event stuff starts, and now it's just like, I don't know, it's May. What are you doing?
Just another month. Just another month, you know?
Just another month. There's
it's going to zoom
Get
by.
used to it.
It's going to zoom by so freaking fast.
Yeah.
Okay, Jan.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about March 31st. Not that anything significant happened, I think. I was just thinking of like, man, 31 days in March. Oh, it's May now.
Huh.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow. What an interesting thought that is to have.
Yeah.
Think about that day.
No, it ain't.
Yeah. No, I know.
Wait,
that's my
anything
point.
actually happen on March 31st? Now I feel bad.
It was the end of fiscal, so you know.
Oh yeah.
I'm all shipping. Yeah, you're all fiscally minded.
I'm always thinking about the Qs, you know.
That's right.
Q1,
your mind
Q2.
is on your money.
Yeah, you are a Q guy.
You know, QQ. You know, when you do like the lowercase q, a period, and then another lowercase q, it looks like a little sad boy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
you know, but I don't take you for a sad boy.
Oh, that's just like when the cameras are on. Otherwise, I'm pulling a Jason and laying on the floor of my shower and crying and thinking about things.
That's cute.
No, that's QQ.
That's QQ.
Oh, QQ. Okay. Got it.
All right. Well, let's cry our way through another week of video game information. Starting with some video games.
We need a sad version of this song in a minor key.
Yeah. Can you cry that song, Jan, somehow?
For when we could transpose it down a little bit.
We need the sad bastard cover of that one in the way that all the great songs of the 80s and 90s are now getting.
No, you got to extend it to the 2000s now.
Sure, sad bastard version.
I love sad bastard covers, and every time they show up, I just laugh my ass off. And I'm trying to remember like the first like really sad bastard cover I heard on top of a video game thing.
It's the Gears. The
Gary Jules, yeah.
Oh my god!
But that Gary Jules song, to be fair, that Gary Jules song was like an older sad bastard cover. I believe the Gears. Who knows? There's no way to know what Gears of War it was. But
there's no way to know.
There's Jen. There's no way to know. That popularized the sad bastard, right? Video game kind of trope. Even the new Stranger Things, they're not done with it. They're just, I feel like the new Stranger Things 4 trailer might be sad bastard, or they're
what song is it?
I can't remember, but I think, or maybe they're just like pulling stems from it in a creative sad bastardy way. I don't know. Just this look. We're just reporting the news, folks.
Well, which one had what had Nirvana recently? Was that
Batman?
Ooh.
Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that? What song was that?
Something basket.
Heart-shaped box.
Heart-shaped box.
There we go. Never mind.
Yeah.
Not basket.
Has any video games, talking of like the original sad bastard song that was supposed to be a sad bastard song, has any video game thing had Johnny Cash's Hurt on it?
Definitely.
I know that's not his song. I know that's from another.
No, actually, Trent Reznor said Johnny Cash could have that song.
Yeah,
if memory serves.
He made it better. Somebody's got to put Hurt on something that doesn't have Hurt on it.
I think it's. I mean, that's just been in.
It's been in wrestling.
Prototype 2's trailer uses Hurt.
It's been in wrestling.
Trailer
that's kind
has
of
hurt. Thank
it?
you to my semi-husband for chiming in. Prototype 2's trailer has hurt.
I don't know if I want to.
Okay.
So we're gonna acknowledge that. It was kind of a bit of a waste. Bit of a.
We're gonna acknowledge Prototype 2. Yes.
We're gonna.
It
Imagine
that game hurt me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh God.
In its own way.
Keep hurt out of Sonic. That's all I want to say.
Oh no.
I'm gonna take a stand right here now. All future Sonic IP, whether it be games, Paramount Plus movies, straight to Paramount Plus movies, or TV shows, or Prime shows, whatever it is.
Sad bastard version of Escape from the City. Make it sad.
That has to exist on. I'm sure there is an acoustic cover of it on Spotify somewhere, because I went through a time where I listened to all of those covers on Spotify, kind of back to back, and there's like shitty metal covers on top of it. There's
Sonic.
a whole. No.
This is a gotcha moment for the ages.
I mean, I have a Sonic the Hedgehog bed sheet over here on my office bed too.
I see how it is.
Yeah,
makes good sheets.
Hating Sonic fan. I see.
Sure.
Where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Question.
Go on.
Why is there not like an amazing parody sad bastard trend where people take songs that should never become sad bastardized and like people do that? Like if someone did Welcome to the Jungle in like a sad bastardy, like that would be amazing. You know,
you're gonna die.
There are groups on Spotify, because Spotify is nothing if not like a fucking SEO nightmare, right? So like,
oh boy,
the covers industry, the like low effort covers especially, is booming on Spotify. So there probably is some. There's probably like, I don't know, there's fucking the shitty fucking swing band probably did a Welcome to the Jungle. There's probably like multiple acoustic covers. There's probably some fucking metal guy playing it with no vocals at all, because why bother singing? There's
a string quartet.
Yep.
Probably making remixes.
There's almost certainly a lullaby version of it. There's multiple piano covers that are just people taking a MIDI and throwing it onto Spotify to try to make money.
Sure.
My cousin got married, walked down the aisle to a string quartet version of Sweet Child of Mine.
That's okay.
Bad.
That's
okay.
perfect. Dude,
written
that's
by a wife beater.
I mean, look, everyone in that ceremony is not like, oh my God,
I know the history.
That song in a vacuum, right? Like that could lend itself well to.
It's overplayed.
I could see that sounding all right.
My partner and I thought about using Kanye's "Runaway" and just doing our friend that plays the piano really well, just having them play that, and just not singing any of the lyrics. But Kanye's
right, yeah,
Kanye.
Yeah.
Like, what message are you trying to send with that song? Because like I can identify with certain parts of that song for sure.
I'm a lot of the times an asshole.
Yeah. And also not there a lot. So like,
just really setting the stage of like, hey,
right. Get used to this.
Hey.
That's the gig, baby. Anyway.
Video games.
Spotify's a nightmare. It's the one thing about not commuting anymore is that I don't have any of that in my life anymore.
Is that good or bad?
Like, I honestly don't know. It's probably good in some ways, but it's a good distraction to go like listen to all these fucking terrible covers of City Escape and the wide variety of how fucking bad they are. Like, I think I have a playlist of I think I made a Spotify playlist that is just covers of that song, just as a goof, but it is fucking amazing how many there are and how abysmal most of them are.
I feel like I've been able to like find the good in Spotify, obviously not from the artist side of it, but discovery, discovery wise, for sure.
If used appropriately, the Spotify algorithm is fine.
Yeah, if you taint it with your nastiness,
if you fucking bring filth to it, it's garbage in, garbage out all fucking day long.
Totally. Can only polish a turd so many times. You know?
Definitely. And I still have a playlist that is that people can edit themselves. That used to be the playlist I put on while I commuted. That was like, okay, fill this up with the worst possible music you can find.
Oh wow! That is such a freaking
I would just put Dominic the
sadomasochist way to like
20 times in a row.
And then you commute listening to that and then live streaming it while you do so. And then people get to hear their handiwork. And it's fucking surprising what's on Spotify when you really dig into it.
Sure.
The level of like not Kids Bop, but like sub Kids Bop covers of songs. And
I mean,
fake Alvin, that's not even real Alvin and the Chipmunks, but people doing fake Chipmunks covers of songs.
Market for that?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if there's a market for it. It's being made.
It's a catch-all. It's like
there's like Halloween albums on Spotify that are just like Halloween fart noises.
Yeah.
And it's just like a full album of like ghosts making fart noises or whatever. And so
it's yeah, I mean, look, there's beads on that curtain for a reason, my man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can
you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Is there like a new Weird Al?
Yeah.
Is
or
there
like a movie? Is there a movie coming out?
No. I mean like another artist similar to Weird Al, where it's like, all right, we accept you being you because your artistry is good.
I don't think anyone has made it to that level. No, I think
there's someone
in this world for one Weird Al.
Yeah,
there's got to be someone who's like next in line, right?
I don't know.
Who's next in line to take the throne behind Weird Al?
Is Weird Al, is he training anyone, a protege, an heir? I don't think so.
I'm not sure that he is. I don't
Perhaps
know. He's back out on tour. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of people making like, comedy music, but not necessarily parody music.
Right.
Or in large quantity. Not that I've heard. I don't know. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there doing it. I still think that like my road to the riches is that I'm gonna fucking quit and I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna start making fucking rap songs about video games, and break into that market, because I just feel like a lot of the raps about Fortnite that are already out there aren't good enough. No. And I think I can do better.
Also, I don't think there's any like video game parody rap song beef.
That's true.
And there should be.
Yeah. No, those people should not be supported. That should not be a supportive community. There needs to be someone in that community saying, you fucking people can't fucking rap for shit. Or you rap really well, but you are rapping about Anthem. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like there needs to be someone needs to be in that space saying no.
Jeff,
you've crossed a line.
Jeff, I don't know how much money I'm willing to pay you, but I'm willing to pay you to make a song about Godfall called God's Fall, where you call out all of these video game rappers.
That's right. Someone needs to do it. That they are and then they are the Godfall of video game rap, which is not where you want to be.
Yep. And then we can also call it Babylon's Fall or something.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. There's I don't play Fortnite, right? But I listen to a lot of raps about Fortnite. And there's something about children rapping and using the word Vicroy instead of Victory Royale, or saying, hey, I won, but something specific to the abbreviation Vicroy, that when I hear it, I have a visceral reaction of just like, oh, fuck you, fucking die. Like, it's just like it's not like I wish death upon these children, it's like that when I hear it. And so I think I have a lot to lend to the video game tinged hip hop community.
Yeah. Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Yeah. And I'm going to get out there and make them understand. I suppose I have a long history of this. There was a guy back in the mp3.com was a website where anyone could upload music, and anyone did. And there was a guy on there who wrote a rap about StarCraft Brood War. And it is an abysmal fucking hell of a song. And like there was like me and some Canadian dudes, and just like we all kind of decided that we were going to adopt personas and fucking go after this guy, and so we did. And
it's not enough beef.
So I guess I'm not new to the fucking world of fucking beefing with people who are rapping about video games, is what I'm saying.
I just say you jump right in. I mean,
yeah,
It's a
it's the only way to learn.
form.
You know, jump right in the deep end there. It doesn't seem that deep.
Cassettes are hot again and cheaper to mass produce.
Mm-hmm.
People will swoop up cassettes so fucking hard.
Yeah.
I was telling Jess, I was thinking about getting back into fucking VHS tapes. I don't need to. I don't
got
have
a VCR
working
right
VCR.
here that I'm like need to hook up to my retro tink so I can hook up to my capture card, and I'm going to capture all these VHS tapes I've got, and really
Put them on
just
archive.org.
yes, where they belong. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, there are some that probably are archive.org material for sure, but
So like I used to like collect VHS tapes, but now it feels like, there's nothing there at their stores anymore. It's all DVDs, and it's all normal VHS tapes, like, the Disney movies and stuff. It's like, I don't want that shit. I want like weird training videos and like weird exercise
stuff that, like,
videos.
people taped MTV for 7 hours in a row, and
stuff
as all the
that's
commercials
just,
are in it, and
stuff that's labeled like Pat and Tim's wedding crossed out, and then it's like ER season finale or something. You don't see that stuff anymore. So archive.org has kind of replaced that fix because there is a lot of variety there. I'm not going to run into the same, VHS of Top Gun over and over again there.
right. Yeah, I had a lot of weird I had tapes of me like when I was in junior high band playing, but all that got taped over. Once I started taping Mystery Science Theater, tapes became like you needed more tapes.
Mm-hmm.
And anything, it was just like, no, fuck it, we're taping over this. What's this? Fucking me playing? Yeah, okay, here's me playing a saxophone. Fuck this. We can fit 3 episodes per tape, so I taped over almost everything I could, with that. So most of my stuff is boring. Well, I don't know. I have a bunch of like weird like video game promotional tapes and stuff that I need to get clean copies of out there and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, why don't we talk about some video games?
Sure.
Let's do
Current
it.
video
play
games.
play the thing again. We're doing it for real now.
And hit it.
There we go.
Okay.
I'm a honey mustard man.
Nintendo Switch Sports came out last week.
Fuck yeah, it did.
It
This
sure
is
did.
the third. I guess it's the third
Yeah.
sports
Third sports.
game. What is this franchise called now?
Sports.
Sports.
You could have
Yeah.
called
That's
it the Wii Sports franchise, but I guess now it's just the sports franchise. I guess like it's not the Advance Wars franchise, it's just Wars, right? Because it was
Well-
Famicom Wars originally.
Right.
Oh,
I
sure.
mean, it's also, now that I've been playing with this game for a couple days, it's still impossible to not call it Wii Sports. Like, the branding is that, to the point where my 7-year-old is also calling it Wii Sports.
Yeah, I've
And,
definitely
he was
been
not
like,
alive
"Look,
when
they
that
made a
game
new Wii
came out."
Sports. Yeah,
Like, that's what it is. So maybe missed branding opportunity, but nevertheless, I'm digging it.
it's really good, and I don't like anything about the way it's structured. I think all the games themselves are awesome, and I think everything around that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I think the playing those games are a lot of fun.
Yes.
Getting to those games, the road to those games and the machinations after, they're just not working for me, to the point where I don't want to see that, and I just want a very plain text menu and jump in and out of sports as I please. Thank you.
You want
That's
like a
what I would
debug
like. build
that's like
Totally.
load bowling, and you're like, yeah, let's go.
Give me the Craigslist version of fucking Switch Sports, okay? Because that's what we're calling it here.
Mhm.
Purists. That's what I would like.
Yeah, connect to the Gopher server and look at the menu. It's that stuff works really well. I think the motion stuff is fun. I think Chambara is cool.
It's
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
I'm really surprised at how sensitive the Joy-Con is actually.
Yeah.
knew?
Each time. Yeah.
Who knew? It only took
Yeah.
6 years.
For them to make another game that supported any kind of motion stuff in a real way. Yeah, it's funny. It's sick in a weird way. Like they're like, oh, by the way, these things have gyros in them. You're like, oh, right, yeah. I guess you could use those in Splatoon, just not the same way you're using them here. But
Breath of the Wild too. Right?
I mean, there's
definitely.
There's a handful of games that have obviously used it, but like this is the
not usually in a way that you're like, okay, we need to point at a thing and we're doing this type of 1-to-1-ish motion.
Totally.
It's been more just like, oh, you can tilt it. You can tilt the controller, roll the ball around, or whatever. And so that was like, there was a shocking moment where I was like, oh, right, it totally does do all this stuff. And I don't need a sensor bar or any of that garbage. Which is nice, because I think if this required me to find a Wii sensor bar and set it up or whatever, I might have been like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Get yourself
like, nah, you guys have fun with your bowling. I'm okay.
Y'all got any standout sports you like?
I still go back to volleyball, bowling, and soccer the most.
Okay, I've not tried soccer yet.
The soccer's weird. It's basically, it's like, what if Rocket League? What if the cars in Rocket League were little people? It's basically like what that
big
game
week for
is.
That out there in video game land, I guess. What if Rocket League but people?
There's a weird sort of move you can do with your player where you just go like Superman dive.
Yep, like a headbutt.
And you head where you're like parallel to the field. That's a lot of fun. I don't think that game controls awfully well. It's more there's a bit of finesse that you kind of learn after a while. I also think, and this is across the board, like the first phase, that rookie phase of all those games are just like, you got to get past that if you want to start having maybe a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
That seems like a bit of a handcuffing out of the gate, but soccer's fun. It's interesting that like if the game there's certain parts where they'll make a goal count for 2 goals and you're like, oh, all right, this is real unfair, but
real
they found a blue
shell.
Yeah, they found a blue shell in soccer and here it is. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I like bowling, but I think there's something about the way bowling. So the online stuff is really kind of rubbing me the wrong way in stuff like bowling. So for people who don't know, the online bowling is a 16-player affair where you're bowling 10 frames of bowling, unless you're doing really bad, and then you kind of get eliminated. It's like every 3 frames there's a checkpoint, like the bottom 6 people are going to get cut, and then we go on to the semifinals or whatever. And it just takes too long. Like the waiting for everyone else to finish bowling so that it moves on to the next frame and all this. There's a lot of just like, okay, I went like this, and I got a strike, and now I'm just set the controller down and wait for all these other idiots to finish up before I move on to the next one. And it's like a cool idea that I don't think is actually any good at all. I wish I could kind of like 1v1 someone at bowling, but you can only do that with friends. And it'll pull up your Switch friends list if someone else is running a room, or you can start a room or whatever. But the kind of global play, I think a lot of the global play stuff just feels like it has a little too much downtime between things, and I don't like that. Like all the sports are good, but you're just waiting too much and waiting through too many menus also to get to the good parts of that game. It just feels like there needs to be some kind of rethink about how that stuff is structured, because it's, I don't know. It pushed me away from the game. It's just like, oh, bowling's really good. Should I do another one? No, I'm not gonna. Or if I do, I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna go into local and just play one player and then just fucking bowl. But then there's no stakes at all, because you're not earning any points. It has like a bunch of unlockables, but all of that stuff is tied to the online, the kind of global play stuff. And if you don't have Nintendo Switch Online there, it'll continually put you up against bots, and you can earn your stuff that way, I guess. But yeah, if you want to unlock cool hats and shirts and whatever else, then you have to play the online mode, and the online modes just feel like they take forever.
It's because they do.
It's a drag.
It's a drag. I mean, to that point, like 3-player local simultaneous bowling, It's all right.
Yeah.
That seems cool. You know, you're like, you can't really always directly compare the scores because you're like, okay, well, we're just going to keep bowling and maybe I'm 9 frames ahead of you or whatever.
Right.
But I don't know. Like, it seems like local multiplayer is, I mean, unsurprisingly, right? I mean, that's the thing that's going to be the best part about this.
I need to find the safety straps to my Joy-Cons.
Oh yeah,
they're perilous.
Oh my god, that too.
Throwing those bad boys.
Oh yeah.
Every time you come out of a game, it shows up that it pops that menu that says like, "Hey, do you still have your strap on? Make sure you leave it on for the next game. Anyway, we're gonna sit here for a second or two." And then make you hit a button to advance. And here's a QR code in case you need it. Like, it's just...
Is the QR code just leading to a website that's like the same exact warning?
Probably.
Like...
probably a video of how to attach one.
Yeah.
There. I mean, look, you've as long as there's been a Wii, that persistence of like, yo, we're giving you a loaded gun, essentially, right? Think about it. Remember that first reveal? Since the dawn, that first reveal when they were still in the Nokia theater, right?
Yep. Yeah.
That event after where you're playing all the Wii games, all the the Nintendo street team people, right? Like getting in there, like
hey, put your wrist strap on.
Put that fucking wristband on. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die.
E3 in that era was a series of Nintendo employees telling you to put on the fucking wrist strap.
That's it.
And
it's it. Even like, dude, even the most closed doors ass events were like, hey, it's just us in here. Like, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Was there ever like, or maybe they are watching, but no one's watching. It's okay. It's okay.
Was there ever like a class action against Nintendo because of like all the broken TVs? Or
I don't know if anyone ever tried to pull that shit, but yeah, if they're
class action.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only reasonable conclusion to draw is that the risk of liability is like too much to bear.
Didn't they send out a whole bunch of free, those chunky weird condoms you can put on your
right
remote?
yeah
Wasn't that like in response to like a lot of people
that was in response to a lot of this stuff. Yeah.
I mean, people were like, I mean the classic like Wii smashing a plasma TV at the time was like a very recycled trope there, but it I don't know.
And there's been a couple of reports of that happening already with this. There's been a couple, because I've seen a couple of news stories of people saying like, "Oh, someone broke their TV already."
Gonna happen.
I guess it's gonna happen. Don't be a dumbass. Maybe it won't, but well, yeah. Hey, yes, okay, yes. Legally, I will say you should wear the strap. Fuck that fucking strap. It's terrible. I didn't even unpack mine when I got that Switch. Mine are still. I assume it came with them. I don't know.
Call me crazy, but I think that televisions should be a little more resilient. Wouldn't it be nice if just like you didn't have to worry so much?
It's not your phone screen. What is a TV doing sitting there being like, gee, I hope no one smacks the shit out of me?
How often have you done it though? Like,
Zero.
I feel like I'm always on edge around my TV because it's this skinny, and I know it is like if I look at it weird,
zero times
bump up against it.
Yeah.
Game over.
I broke a TV.
Why is it so fragile?
Yeah, when
we hang these things up on walls. Why are they so fragile?
It'll add a lot of weight, to be honest. It would add a lot of weight.
They're already fucking heavy.
I worked at like an AV rental place for a hot minute, and then they were very adamant with all of the TVs of like, hey, when you're loading this into the van or like the case, only hold it in these two spots or else you're gonna fuck it up.
Yeah.
I mean, the wild thing about like that, those LG OLEDs is like when you're holding one, you're basically just bending it. It's just,
it feels so bad.
But it's fine. It can do it.
Fine, except my daughter also walks up to the screen and fucking hits it a bunch.
Yeah, it's fine.
And
How many people have a dog or a cat that is a dumbass and will just run head first into your TV screen or something,
Well, then people have to choose their pets or their TVs. This is where we're at in society.
Priorities.
I broke up. I think it was a plasma. I was attempting. I needed to update the firmware on it because there was some latency problem. I remember I was trying to play Need for Speed Most Wanted for the Wii U of all fucking things, and it just for some reason it was just not right or whatever. And I was like, oh, my firmware is way out of date, and to update it, you have to stick a USB stick in the back of the TV. And so I got the USB stick all together and then had to like figure out a way to get behind this TV to do this. And it wouldn't, it was in an entertainment center in such a way that really the only way I could do it was to grab by the top and kind of tilt the whole thing down enough to stick it in. Now, of course, the bottom of the TV slid and the whole thing fell down and the TV landed on the Wii U tablet.
Oh, no.
And that was enough to destroy that screen.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. All right.
That screen was like one material less than fucking, I don't know, like Tic Tac plastic. It was just like, that is just weak as fuck.
Yeah. So that TV was gone and I played Need for Speed Most Wanted on the tablet screen of the Wii U instead of on the TV, in front of the broken TV going, fuck, this sucks.
That's gotta burn.
Television now.
That's gotta burn.
Yeah. That
anyway, break your TVs is what we're trying to say.
Yeah, you need a new one anyway.
Exactly.
Mother's Day is
doing you a
up.
favor.
Except for the newer the TV you have, the worse the Switch seems to look on it.
That's an interesting scale there.
Yeah. Because this is the first time I've played a Switch game on the TV for a little bit. And that reminder of just like, oh, all these UI graphics and text and fonts and all this stuff look like absolute shit on a 4K TV. Like just grimy.
There's a lot of lines on that graph at play, right? It's like, how close are you to your television, right? How new is the television? And the further back you stand, the better it will look. So that's you have to be a moving target there.
I'm right up in this thing, man. I ain't fucking around.
You're up in those.
And so
pixels.
every bit of UI text and stuff just looks like blocky garbage.
You're the badminton player that's right on like the net and just like little pip pops, just ready to bop that birdie.
Yeah, but I haven't tried all 6 of the sports yet, but it's. This seems super well made, except for all that menu stuff. Like every single of the I'm playing a video game parts of that game is joyous and a great time. But yeah, I don't know. It's like the unlockable stuff seems like a bummer. And like just a lot of the menu design and just the process you have to go through to get into a game is just feels like it's not as smooth as I wish it was.
Yeah, I think the badminton and the tennis might be the weakest games out of the bunch, mostly because they're fairly super duper similar.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know what it is. Like the tennis controls well, but there's just something missing, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like I need some more heft in the Joy-Con, because at least with like the Wiimote, I felt like it was a little weighty, so you're feeling the swing and everything. And then just like the positionality of like the racket, it might be tied into
there's like you're trying to do a backhand and then you just see the model on screen just jerk around to a backhand to like make the animation work at the last possible second, and some of that stuff just looks funky.
Yeah,
there is something maybe a bit disappointing in the department of like. I played Wii Tennis a couple months ago, right? So it's still relatively fresh in my mind. And there's not a huge difference. Like if we're just being completely like on its face, I probably played like a dozen games, back in November, and I've already played, maybe 20, 25 of this new one. And they're just not that different. I didn't remember this, but like it is only doubles, right? Like I don't think there's singles in any I don't think there's a way to play singles.
No, because even if you're playing alone, you
just control
some kind of control over both.
It's just. I think a lot of it might have to do with the heft of that controller. I think, swinging the Joy-Con like a racket just doesn't just feel as important. But
which is weird because like in the Chumbara game, like I feel like. I don't know what it is. Maybe because I'm like two-handing a small Joy-Con, like I'm adding the own weight of my own hands and everything. But like it feels good, and like I feel like that controls better than like some of the tennis and the badminton. I do agree with you.
It's like a different type of gameplay, right? Because like in that, the 1-to-1 is way more vital to the experience.
Yeah.
Like that's just like, hey, here's your Skyward Sword, blocking stuff. Whereas like with tennis, it's more just like, when did you swing? What type of swing did you do?
Right.
And it's really just kind of like reading what it needs to read at the last minute.
Yeah. I wish in the soccer that you could just either that your little people are faster, because it's a lot of actual. If y'all have ever watched like Pee Wee soccer, it's a lot of that, of like everyone just chasing after the ball, and then the ball gets kicked away, and then all right, we're all running to the other side. I wish you like maybe the sprint was longer or more pronounced, or that there was like in Rocket League like little sprint pickups to get more sprint juice, or just to be able to switch players across with your team of 4, because like just controlling my one dude, I've like found myself like I'm just gonna stand here, just wait for the AI to maybe do their job, and then I'll come in for like the winning kick.
There you go.
Call me crazy again, but I think soccer fields should be way smaller. Too much running.
Well, maybe that too. Like, you know, since this is like it's all done in like a resort style thing, I think they could get away with a smaller field.
Totally. Everyone loves arena football.
Yeah.
It's a 50-yard indoor war.
It's a resounding thing. Yeah. The kids won't stop talking about it.
No, they won't. They're like, man, John Bon Jovi owns that team, and I love that guy.
He's cool.
Yeah, Jersey zone. You ever drive past his house?
Probably.
Yeah.
Him and I believe he's from close to my hometown. They named a rest stop after Bon Jovi. Finally, New Jersey's own Bon Jovi has his own rest stop.
What an honor!
It's really nice because it's right. It's sort of like centralized. And it's really nice because it's a brand new building, and when you walk in, there's like a nice neon guitar.
And that's cool.
And then his name above it.
Okay.
It's a Bon Jovi rest stop, so it's like when you've had to pull over, emergency, so you could take a hot dump. The first thing you see before that sweet release, is John Bon Jovi's name and lights.
What's the slogan there? Is it like John Bon Jovi, a great place to piss?
It's
colon.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, all the urinals are the cover of
It's Richie Sambora's face in all of them, weirdly enough. But
are they playing exclusively John Bon Jovi songs at the rest stop?
I don't know.
I've Bon Jovi, just his solo shit.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. I'm lying. I've never been to it. It does exist. Feel free to look it up, listeners and watchers.
They got a Roy Rogers in there?
No, I don't know. It's in South Amboy, New Jersey. I don't know what's in there. I hope there's a fucking Roy Rogers in there.
Roy Rogers is the best.
I think I want to say the only couple of Roy Rogers left are more on Southern, like 95, in Southern Jersey. Yeah. Apparently he was at the grand opening of it because that's what you do.
What do you
because he's not dead. He went to the
you get a rest stop named after you. You show up and say to all the truckers about to piss, we salute you. I don't that's a Bon Jovi song, right? And then he says, oh wait, that's not a Bon Jovi song. Wait, I didn't write. Oh, anyway, thanks guys. And then he gets back on his steel horse and he rides off into the sunset.
Probably his like motorcycle with the 3 wheels on it. What do they call those things?
I don't know. I'll be right back. I'll let my wife in.
Okay. You ever see those motorcycles with like the 3?
Yeah, totally.
What are they called? What are those called? The chariots.
Yeah.
Chariots.
Yeah, he went away on that. I know what a tricycle is, chat. Jesus Christ.
Now, have you seen?
You mean a tricycle? Were you looking for the word tricycle? Is that what you're looking for? You searching for that?
Have you seen the motorcycles or mopeds with the training wheels though? Because I need that to be in my next Switch Sports game.
Oh damn! Well, look. I think it's the elephant in the room. We're all thinking it. We're all wondering about it. Hockey. When's it coming? How's the development going on it?
Every day I wake up and say, hockey. When is it coming?
It's like, I'm sorry, but there's like you put it, Jen, there are some repeats in this game.
Yeah.
There are too many net focused games, right?
Volleyball is cool, but at the end of the day, like having volleyball, badminton, and tennis.
What are we doing?
Like volleyball is probably the best of those 3.
Yeah.
But geez, that's half the sports.
I know they're adding golf.
Yeah.
Which is a non-net sport. I realize hockey is a net sport as well, but there's not the division that those other net sports create.
That's right.
Would you be fine with
Hockey
baseball?
is an inclusive net.
It's all inclusive. Everyone can play if you know how to skate and be very fast like that. Why was that, Jen?
Would you be okay with baseball because baseball is not a net sport?
If you're not including like the foul pole, sure, it's a non-net sport. I'll accept that. I'll take it.
All right.
You know, it was in Wii Sports. Baseball was in Wii Sports.
Yeah. I was surprised.
And that was really good.
Yeah.
It was like a really stripped down, fun, just a little arcadey kind of, just like
almost like a home run derby. Yeah,
totally. I think that's kind of what you want, right? It's just like,
what are we doing with this game?
Let me hit balls.
I feel like the more I have these fond memories of this weekend playing it with my son, and now I'm here talking about it. I'm like, fuck, I want a lot more out of it.
Yeah.
I didn't have fun at all, did I?
Wait a minute. Was that a shitty time?
They should put all of the stuff that was in, whether that's DLC or something, who knows what kind of plans they have, but it just seems like they should bring the sports of Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort to this as well.
Right? What's the problem?
As part of that, but maybe new sports would be the right answer. I don't know what.
I miss the Mii's. Honestly, I miss the Mii's.
You can use a Mii head.
Yeah.
I am. It sucks.
Not the same.
I had to go in at the system level and
on the body.
No, it looks all fucking weird because it uses the same bodies in the menus and all that stuff. It just gives you like less customization option because as you start to unlock hats and ribbons and all this other stuff, like you're like, oh, you're using a Mii head, so you can't use that. You're like, oh, great, cool, glad I. Oh, also, all of the gear you unlock is done randomly, and it's like they have it is almost like a gacha game where it's like, hey, this quantity. Like the items on this sheet are only going to be available for 10 more days, and then this other one's only going to be available for 17 more days, and so it feels like that gacha game, or like Phantasy Star Online 2 is rotten with those sorts of but those are all paid.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just like, hey, earn 100 points and then you get to open a present. But
I also need to investigate further. Multiple. I think it's more of a Nintendo Switch Online. Maybe it's like a family sort of plan or whatever. But like, I'm the only one. My player, I think, I have to go investigate. Like I said, I think my player is the only one within the game that can accrue online points.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Like my kid, even though like I am the one selecting the game, right? To run the game under my profile from the main Switch menu. When you go in and add players 2 and 3, right? My wife and kid have their own profiles within the Switch, users. And I don't think I gotta check again, but I don't think they can accrue XP that way.
I don't think that's tied to the online stuff. That might just be because you're the account that launched it or something. Because you can still play that game if you don't have the online subscription. It just means that first option becomes you playing against bots.
Wouldn't you?
And you can still earn the stuff by playing against bots.
But I feel like it's. I don't know. I hope it's not the case again. I need to check out report back, but. You would let us all earn this. Like you're allowing me to log in through that core shelled out user selection. Like let's let all that stuff apply across the board. I don't know.
Are they attached to email addresses and full accounts and all that other stuff? Or are they just like?
I think they're just
guessed like that.
Yeah, they're just like sub.
I bet it's more that. I bet it's more the sub account thing.
Yeah,
sub people.
These sub people. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, I don't know.
I looked up the games that are in Wii Sports Resort. There's so many. Remember disc golf?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, presumably they can add a lot, right? Like this can be, a living game in a way, right? So
yeah.
Please
tell me if they will. Like that's the thing is like, will they actually do more than just put golf and like maybe one or two other things in it? Like I don't know that they'll do grand expansion. I don't know, who knows? Nintendo is so weird.
Yeah, they only announced golf, right? They only said golf so far,
and then including the leg strap or like the actual soccer mode.
Oh right, the adding support for that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's
room to grow, perhaps.
Definitely. I feel like Nintendo's history with like actually growing these sorts of games is so spotty that I wonder how far they'll actually go with it. But probably depends on how well it does. The other big game, Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Woo! It's really good.
Out. Yeah, it is really good. I fired this is an updated version of the Stanley Parable, which came out like 2013. So it's, pretty old, but they have added quite a bit to it. It does have, it's like most, if not all of the goofs from that game, and then a bunch of new stuff that is integrated into that game. For people who haven't seen it, it's like an unreliable narrator, or you're the unreliable player, I guess. Maybe the narrator will say things like, Stanley goes through the left door, and then you can go through the right door if you want, and he'll be like, what the fuck are you doing? He will respond as you play, and the interaction between you and the narrator is kind of the centerpiece of that, and it expands that into a bunch of different fun goofs, and the writing is really strong, and all that sort of stuff. And I think almost all of the new stuff I thought was really awesome. I don't know how much of it is worth getting into here, because it's just like at some point you're just explaining jokes.
Yeah.
And that's not, it's like, and this part's really funny. But
yeah, I love it. I think I've gotten all the endings, maybe. I mean, there's not like a,
Did you wait 4 hours and you did all that stuff?
Not that one. Not that one.
Yeah.
Not the baby game ending.
Yeah.
I've never gotten that. I'm not stupid.
I think for the first one, I did eventually just like set up an auto clicker and walk away and set a timer and to come back and see it. But
then it adds another button, and you have to save a puppy, and you got to go back and forth between that button. So it's making sure you can't use an auto clicker.
Maybe I just fucked it up then. Maybe that's what it was. I remember trying to set it up, but yeah. Maybe I did just finally just say fuck it and watch it.
Making
on
sure
YouTube.
you're actually playing it.
Yeah. Devious.
I love how like this, it's not just more of the same. It's like it's an expansion literally, but it's also kind of like expanding on like the themes of the first one. Because the first one is like, goofing around about player choice and predestination and stuff like that. And this one is also goofing on like, how much will a player do just because it's in a game? Like, is this fun for you? Is it only fun because I say you're not supposed to do that? Like, I dare you to play this baby game for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Will you do it just because I put it in the game? So I really like the stuff that, is expounded upon in this game.
It tries to say quite a bit about the nature of sequels versus updates and player feedback and all this other stuff. And
what is content?
Right. I think some of that is really good, and I think some of it is pretty bad, but I appreciate that it's all in there.
And it's like, is this bad on purpose? Maybe.
Yeah.
Because it's making a point about like, you're gonna play this.
Yeah. I have been close to reviews of video games for a very long time, and so I think that the writing jokes about that stuff, you have to do it in a very specific way to make it work, and I don't think they hit that very well. Anyway, yes, it's extremely cool, and also like it's kind of a slow burn a little bit. That was kind of the other thing, is like, as someone who played the first game and remembers just enough of it to go like, oh, I'm supposed to go click on this door a bunch. Like right out of the gate, it was a very slow start, because I was like, I feel like I'm doing things in the wrong order. It's the same feeling I had playing Tunic again right after finishing it, of just like, I feel like I'm doing everything wrong because I know just enough to get off of what the main path is, and I'm fucking up a bunch of stuff, and am I missing a bunch of stuff, or seeing things in the wrong order, and wait, where's the new stuff? There's maybe not enough new stuff, and so it's kind of a slow burn, like almost in a Glitterbitten Grove kind of way out of the gate. But I think once it gets going, it's fucking awesome.
It's worth it. Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
also like, this is a game that's like impossible to make a sequel for. Like, I can't even believe they went and made DLC for it. Like, that's kind of a crazy notion, right?
I think
It's
that's
not
the
even DLC,
wildest
like,
thing about it.
They ported it to Unity. Like, this isn't some easy add-on. Like, this is a whole new port of this game, even on PC. Which is fucking crazy, but it's out on consoles now, I think, is the reason why they would go and do that, because like it was sourced before. And yeah, so it's like it seems like it was probably a pretty dramatic undertaking in some sense to make all that stuff again. And it's yeah, I think like it's more than DLC, I guess, is the point I want to make. Is like I think a lot of people hear that and go like, oh well, whatever, it's just a quick little shitty add-on. Like no, it's integrated very deeply into the core of that thing in a way that changes a lot about it, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I don't personally know any games that have done that, where it's like this isn't just DLC; it's like kind of a mishmash of a couple different things.
It's
like,
not just a remake. It's not just it's not a remaster per se.
Update, it's a little bit of every one of those things. It's a little bit of a sequel. It's a little bit of you know updated content. You know, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yes. You should check it out. It's very funny.
And you don't have to play the original Stanley Parable.
In fact, the original Stanley Parable crashes on launch for me now when I try to. So, at first I was like, "That's a really funny joke," and I was like, "Oh no,
intentional."
It would actually be amazing if like part of the release of this game was them like fucking
destroying the old thing.
Destroying the old thing completely.
How poetic.
But they are selling it, so it's not like you get this for free. It's discounted, but yeah. All right. Overwatch 2 is out there in some form. They've had this beta going. They were very adamant when they gave us access to this beta to say, like, please acknowledge that you understand that this is a legit beta and this is not the final game, and this is like we are legitimately testing stuff. This is not final. This is not the final thing. And I was like, yes, I understand. And seeing the reaction to people getting in the beta and playing it, I understand why, because it is getting fucking raked over the goddamn coals out there right now.
Yeah.
And I cannot imagine. I don't understand why they put this out there.
I would have led with the PvE rather than the PvP.
Who knows what state that's even in, right? So at some point they decoupled those things, right? And they said like, hey, we're going to put out the PvP stuff sooner because it's easier for us to integrate, whereas the PvE stuff is all new, and honestly, who knows if that'll even ever happen.
It's weird because they've had like seasonal modes where they have done PvE stuff in Overwatch before, so I don't know how expansive the new PvE in Overwatch 2 is supposed to be.
I mean, they originally tried to make it sound like it was a very big deal, but you know, who knows like what, and honestly, the development's been so troubled, like working at Blizzard has been a thing that a lot of people don't want to do anymore. So there's like been turnover, you know, there's been such a troubled development around this thing, even before you get to all of the fucking heinous shit that has happened at Activision and Blizzard and all that other stuff. Like this game on its own has been, or maybe because of that stuff, but this game has had a very troubled development from the looks of things. And so this beta is one new character, some reworks for some existing characters, like a couple new maps, new mode, the new player count, and a ping system. And I feel like most of the talk I've seen has been people going like, cool, we're going to rip these models out so we can make porn with them. And that's been the only that's been the only thing people have been actually like happy about, is like, oh, we can take this new character and do stuff.
Spit roast him.
Yeah, basically.
Jesus.
A lot of Patreons out there churning on making this source filmmaker content. We've got to make it happen.
I popped into like a bunch of games, and for a couple of times where people had microphones on or actually wanted to coordinate with each other, the common consensus that I was getting from like a bunch of random people playing was like, man, they should really add a fifth character. Like this would be so good with like one more team member. And then
sixth, because it's 5v5 now. 5v5. It was 6v6 before, right? Yeah.
And so like a lot of people are saying like, yeah, you know, the team would be really good with just one more person, because like we're almost there, guys. We're getting it. But if we just had maybe another healer or another tank, it'd be really good. And it's like, yeah, guys, there's a game that's already like that, and it's out already. Even the new character, like I don't know how much time you had with her, Jeff. Sojourn. She's fine.
She's like a generic shooter character in a way that I can kind of appreciate, because it makes her very easy to pick up and play. It's like she shoots And then as your landing hits, a railgun is charging up, and you can pop that railgun off for a, kind of more targeted, higher damage shot.
Mm-hmm.
And her ult is like, what if she did more damage or what if she had more railgun shots? Like, it's very straightforward.
Yeah.
And like, as someone who has not played Overwatch in years, like, having that be the character I came back to was like, oh, this is very easy to wrap my mind around, but also, a lot of people complain about the meta in that game, and it's always hard from the outside looking in as someone who is not part of that fucking scene at all. But it seems like the consistency with which people have been like, hey, as this game goes further and further in the direction of prioritizing DPS heroes and the role queue, like basically all the stuff they've done to that game over the years has made it so rigid in a way that is so unfun. For people who are not esports minded.
I also don't see. Sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
None of what they're doing seems like it is working to solve any of that. And I feel like easier said than done. Like, it's easier for me to sit here and say this, but like, if I was going to put out an Overwatch 2 beta, I would try to do things that fucking maybe swung the opinion of the game back in the other direction. And I feel like this just feels like it's underscoring a lot of those issues and pushing things further in that direction. But again, that's from me seeing what people are saying out there about it. It's not necessarily my own take on it, because I haven't played Overwatch in years, and looking at this, again, it's a beta, but looking at this, I'm like, nothing on display here is going to bring me back to this game.
I also don't think Sojourn, being the new character that they're leading with, is a good way to put people on the on-ramp for learning about all the other characters, because she plays so similar to like a standard FPS that the second someone else picks Sojourn and then you're forced to go with someone else, like, okay, now I'm a gorilla that has a lightning gun and jumps around a lot. I don't know quite how to play that.
Or like, what's my role here? Or whoops, I ended up having to play tank, and now what does that even mean? I don't even know. And the whole team lost because of that team comp stuff.
Totally.
It's the Overwatch, I think, is the like perfect example of like what an esports focus, how it can ruin a game for a wider community. They pushed so hard in that direction, trying to make that game something that they could make a bunch of esports money on, that at some point it's just like, who the fuck wants to, I'm not gonna, I don't keep up with any one game that much. Like, I could play a billion other games instead of fucking like devoting myself to this thing. Like, who would fucking do that? And it just seems like players have been moving away from this game for a long time, and this isn't the thing that gets them back in. People like the characters because they like watching them fuck, but also people like the characters of Overwatch because they're colorful and bright and fun and all this other stuff. And so like that PvE stuff, if done right, that someday could be the thing that gets more people back into Overwatch. But this is gonna fucking do it.
Yeah, like even in some of those random games that I was playing, like, a lot of people didn't know their proper roles, and you're not gonna pop into games where people are friendly and willing to understand, because the queue times for depending on which classes you want to play can go upwards. At least when I was trying to log on, upwards to like 5-10 minutes depending on the class.
Like if you're trying to play DPS, because everyone's trying to play DPS, right?
Exactly. So, and even if you decide to bite the bullet and go with like a support class, a lot of the support classes, like, it's not as easily apparent or easily readable of like, what do I do? Because like if you're playing as what's her name, Mercy, then like, she plays similar to the Doctor in TF2, and that's like a model that a lot of people are very familiar with. If you're trying to play as I forget his name, the rollerblading dude that buffs people just based off
played
proximity.
As that dude when I played.
Yeah, and like there's a lot of like little intricacies that don't get translated. Lucio, sorry, to the player of like, okay, I can just wall ride on almost everything, and I never have to touch the ground. I feel like on top of getting people acclimated to now behaving in a 5v5 system and that translating into PvE, they're gonna have to they have like a really big task of translating roles and how to play these. Well, how many characters is it now? It's over 20, right? 20 plus characters to new players.
Yes, definitely. Like the hope is that, if they do the PvE right, it kind of could serve as a training ground for people to understand the characters and how they play in ways that will help you at least understand their roles in the multiplayer. But at the same time, as someone who, I feel like that ship has sailed for me. I just want the PvE. The only thing I would want out of this is like the PvE to be good, and it doesn't have to train me how to play the multiplayer. In fact, I'd rather it didn't. If it was just great on its own terms and a great fun hero shooter that I, like turned it into a mini Destiny or something like that. I mean, that's what they were going to do eventually. That's what they wanted to do out of the gate. Yeah, they're in a rough spot. I don't know, but it feels like they've been in a rough spot for a very long time. But putting this stuff out there, I don't know what they hoped to accomplish from this. I don't know what they, because it's not like they need to test like network. Like, what are they beta testing? They have to know internally. You would hope that they know internally that like, hey, this is not going to be the thing that's going to move the needle. Like this other stuff maybe. So like I like, other than having to like prove like this game still exists. I don't understand why they ran this at all. It doesn't seem maybe they're having so many arguments internally that they're put this out there and they're like, see, fucking told you no one's gonna like this thing. What the fuck are you doing?
Most
like,
passive aggressive
argument.
Look,
it definitely happens.
It's anecdotal, but like the two people in my life that I know are Overwatch players.
Yeah,
have been asking me, have I played it? And I'm just not into Overwatch, but those two freaks seem to like it.
Cool. All right.
So I don't know. Again, I can't speak to. I mean, look, these are people who, whenever I see them online, this is what they are playing. They're playing the first Overwatch. So
yeah,
there's a bit of context there of like, the freak label being appropriate. But yeah, I guess more of that would be good for them. But yeah,
sounds like they're going to keep playing it. I feel like if they're still playing it at this point, then what's going to bump them off of it, right? Like nothing. Like
like they are clinically, they're certified, right? Like they are. That's it. This is who they are. But yeah.
Well, I'm sure there'll be some hot skins to come out of all this.
Hot skins.
Chicken skin. We talked a little bit about the Bugsnax DLC already, right? But you've been getting
played a bunch more of
deeper
it.
Into it.
And something I forgot to show off in the quick look. Damn, was hats. You can put hats on your little guys that you that
finally.
you donate. Finally, and it's like there's little like missions to find where the hats are because like they are naturally occurring. Bugsnax are wearing these hats in the wild. So there's like a little like mission board that you can go to and you can see a screenshot basically of what biome, whatever, you have to go to find this Bugsnax that has the Bugsnax hat. And then you have to capture that Bugsnax and then you get the hat and it's freaking cute. And you can put it on all your little guys and I love it. But I played the extent of the missions that are on the new island and they were all pretty good. And I was a little like not turned off or anything like that, but I was like, why'd they choose these characters to go to the island? Like these are one of these characters is my favorite, it's Chandlo. And the other three, it's just like I actively don't really like these two. And Triffany, I can take or leave. She's just kind of boring and she has a cute accent. But I feel like this DLC actually kind of like in making these characters go on this little mission, like you got a lot more moments with them and they actually ended up being a lot more likable to me by the end of the DLC. I was like, okay, I see why they did that. They have the one guy I really like and he's like kind of softening up the others that I don't like very much through different interactions and stuff like that. And, talking to each other and solving problems and stuff like that. It's like, okay, these people are cool actually. So I do like that they did that.
Cool. And team bonding, all it takes.
Yeah. So it was cute.
I reinstalled Bugsnax since it came out on Game Pass and all that other stuff, but I have not tried it out yet. I don't know if I want to start Bugsnax over from scratch, but I kind of didn't get that deep into it.
I felt I was like, oh man, I got to play this whole game again to get to the chunk of DLC basically, because you do have to complete Chandlo and Snorpy's like full quest list, I think, and also get to a certain point in the story where, you know, everybody's been recruited back so that they can go with you to this other place. So that's a little bit awkward, but hey, it's free DLC. What am I going to complain about?
Sure.
But I also think they fix a couple of things, or maybe I just experienced them differently because, you know, it's been a couple of years since this came out and I played it. But I remember I accidentally got the trip shot out of order because I got it before Snorpy was like, go up here and get this thing. Because I was just exploring and I just ended up there. I was like, oh, what's this thing? And I just picked it up. And I was like, oh, weird. And I just went off and didn't really get the correct tutorial for it. So I was kind of like foggy on how to use the trip shot for when I first played this game. And I think they fixed it so that you can't get it early. They like walled up the place that I was able to get into previously. And I was like, oh, okay. So other people had this problem. So it
hot speed run tech.
Yeah.
Shut down by the devs. God.
But yeah, I really couldn't wrap my head around the trip shot the first time I played. And this time I was like, oh, right. This is how it works. Okay, cool. So yeah, and they do a lot more like trip shot stuff in the DLC to like hammer home how it works too. So that's good.
Cool. Jan, you played some Haiku, the robot, on the show on Friday. That seems cool.
Yeah, it's neat. I'm juggling Rogue Legacy 2 and Haiku and bouncing back and forth between two games. Maybe not the best, but it is nice to feel tangible progress in Haiku, because this is more of a standard Metroidvania style game where you just you take the form of a little robot. And the neat thing that this game does differently or adds to it is the heat system. So as you are dashing through the game, your dash and some other abilities fills up your heat meter. So it adds like a cap of how often you can dash through enemies, or where you can go, or how much you can crank your little robot dude. Because as you lose health, as long as you have enough of the currency in the game, I believe it's called spare parts, and you can crank yourself to make yourself feel better and heal yourself, which is a neat addition, because a lot of the time in Rogue Legacy, I feel like I'm doing really well and I got a really good run, but I have like 10 health points left that I know I'm going to die, and that's going to be the end of this run. Versus in Haiku, because it's more of a standard 2D scroller or platformer, your death is not like the end all be all here. And it's nice how they play with the color palette, because it's in a similar style of like they're only fudging around in each, forgive me for using the word, in each biome. They're only sorry everybody, take a drink.
Gotta be a law.
Biome heavy episode here.
We've got a real
but they only fudge around with like 4 to 5 colors, and in the beginning area of that of Haiku, which we look through on UPF, it's a lot of browns, it's a lot of oranges, and I was kind of worried that the game would just be stuck like this. But then one of the first areas you get to afterwards is all heavy blues, and it's all waters, and the way they're messing around with like their limited color palette is really well done. I think the music and the sound design is also really good, which was unexpected in like such a small title like this. There's an upgrade system where you can upgrade or equip different chips, and those chips modify the gameplay ever so slightly. Like you have a longer sword, your heat meter is more efficient, so you're not using as much heat depending on the actions and stuff like that. My one gripe with the game is the font choice. And this is a very, very small thing to nitpick at, but it feels like you turned on the readable font in like an options menu versus whatever game 8-bit font that it normally rolls with. And it's probably done by choice, or maybe that was like an oversight. But everything else in the game, I think, is like really well polished, and it's a really good one of these games. Story-wise, I can't speak to like if it's gripping me. You're just like a robot, and all the humans are dead, and you can buy a human skull, which is pretty sick. There's also a pretty cool train in this game, and the train has eyeballs, and it looks like the Magic School Bus.
Oh,
all right.
Yeah, and there's a and forgive me here. It's kind of a ever so slightly sexy little robot lady with a nice southern hat, and it's like, oh my stars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Haiku's not really a robot though. Like I remember from UPF, he's sort of like, I mean, his legs and arms are detached from his body in a way that a robot is not.
Well, look at your BB-8s. Your Raymans. I mean, Rayman's not a robot.
Rayman's not a robot. Maybe he's a robot version. Maybe all the humans on this planet were Raymen, and so they built the robots in their own image. Magnets, man.
Magnets.
All right, I'll let that one slide.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll let that one slide. But what I won't let slide is the font talk. What was that game that we were having such a problem with the font? Or maybe it was, when I say we, I mean I. What the hell was it? I think it was a UPF game. Oh, maybe it was Proteus, where we were just like, "What's happening here?" Or what are you using? It wasn't like Comic Sans or something like that, but yeah, I don't know. That sort of stuff, for whatever reason, I have an irrational amount of this reaction to like those little sort of pet peeves. So I'm glad that you're joining the dark side, Jen.
You know how there's sliders for like your subtitle sizes and all that stuff.
Sure.
How come there isn't like a slider for how stylized you want the font?
I've seen games do that. Definitely as an accessibility thing. There's been like here's like our cool in-world font, but you can turn that off or also turn on one that's like more dyslexia friendly. Like there are definitely devs that are thinking about that sort of stuff.
Doesn't pop up super often though.
No, that seems like something that will get there over time. Like more people are thinking about it.
Low priority for a lot of developers, I'm sure, unfortunately. Yeah, all wingdings. Let's crank the slider all the way up to unreadable, and it's just wingdings.
Let's bring back Papyrus. Avatar 2's coming out.
That font had nothing to do with that movie, did it?
Papyrus. Yeah, they used Papyrus as the title font.
Is that really?
Yeah.
All caps? That's what it is?
Papyrus, baby. It's back.
Oh yeah, another Papyrus scandal with me involved.
As you call it, Papyrus.
No, I called it like Papyrus. You're right.
But this game reminds me.
I edited that episode.
I'd never said it out loud. I'd only heard it in my mind up until that very moment, and it was a disaster.
I slammed on the space where I was like, "No, what did he just say?" And I rewound, and he said, "Fucking Papyrus."
It was a disaster for me and only me, so I'll own that shit. It's fine.
Papyrus was a company. They made some F1 games or some kind of PC driving games in the 90s, and it just opened with like from Papyrus, and so I was like, I just had that video game voice letting me know how it was pronounced right out of the gate, so I was able to avoid.
Just so you know, I have a very close friend who I see often,
James Cameron.
Yeah, Mr. Cameron and I hang out every week. No, I have a close friend.
I came up with the idea for the knife that robot
had. And he reminds me, like, he cannot let it go. Every day, every time I see this guy, he's just like, "Oh man, I keep watching that video of you sounding like such a fucking idiot." And I'm like, "Cool, man. Why are we friends?"
Anyway, you suck shit. I gotta go.
Borrow $20.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, pay me back for dinner. So anyway, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Well, there you go. Speaking of Rogue Legacy 2, I have been playing quite a bit of Rogue Legacy 2.
Oh yeah.
It's got its hooks in me. I was worried that it would not get there because it just didn't feel right out of the gate. But you get in there, you start unlocking a bunch of stuff. I beat the first boss. You start unlocking some additional buildings and see some of the additional kind of things they've built into that game. Little skill challenges and all this other cool shit that you start getting. And it is a very suitable expansion on the concepts of that first game. It's way more than just like, here's that game.
Yeah.
In terms of just like the additional challenges and other things they've hung around it. Like, I think the core of it is still relatively similar. But more and better in a lot of ways.
This is a better 2 game than Overwatch 2. I'll say it.
I mean, hey, that's just a beta. By the time Overwatch 2 comes out, who knows?
I don't know.
Maybe it'll just be a side-scrolling roguelite.
If I can play as a chef and set people on fire in Overwatch 2, game of the year, baby. But Rogue Legacy 2, yeah, I'm glad because I was feeling the same way, Jeff, where it's it's more of the same, and then as you're unlocking more of the different jobs, and for the most part they all play relatively different. Like the Valkyrie class that lets you like dash in the air kind of broke some of the other classes for me because of like the reflect thing as well, where if you're timing it well enough, you can just rinse through that first boss easy peasy lemon squeezy. But then like losing that mobility with some of the other classes is like, oh crap, this dude just walks and jumps. What a loser. They all feel varied enough. And then like I like the addition of the house rules in this, because sometimes, let me tell you, those traits really kill a run really hard and really kill the momentum. And it's like everything else on like the air in that run is really good on paper. I hate that everything's upside down and that they keep farting.
Right. Yeah. It's just like this is just in the way in a way that's like, it's cute once. And then when you get it again, you're like, oh, well, fucking great. I guess walk out here and die.
So the inverted or upside down trait, how exactly does that work? Is the whole screen upside down?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh God.
Yeah, so you'll end up with these, and it's like, it's funny, like that's the legacy part of that game is you're picking your descendant, and all the descendants have different genetic traits, and so they'll be colorblind, or they'll fart, or it'll be upside down, or it'll like different goofy shit like that, and it's a great gimmick. And then sometimes you just get some bad rolls, and you're like, well, now it doesn't feel like a case where you're like, oh, I'm gonna suck an amazing run out of this bad roll. Whereas, sometimes that stuff would happen in like a Dead Cells or something where you're like, oh, this is just my fuck around run. You're like, oh, wait, I found 3 things that fixed everything, and oh, awesome. But when you get the one that's like, hey, it's upside down, you're like, okay, this is just a pain in the ass now. It's a really funny bit, and I don't want to see it anymore. It's just not worth it. I wonder, it's the game would, and the game does give you some bonuses with that stuff where it's like, oh, if you end up with that trait, you're going to get more gold, or maybe more resolve or something like that. So they do kind of try to incentivize you to play some of those shitty builds. But yeah, it seems like a game where you will have to eventually, like these systems like this, I think it eventually becomes fun when you get the ability to pick and choose. And I think there's a real opportunity in this game. Maybe they have something like this later on where it's like, oh, you've unlocked the genetic lab, and now you can gene splice in these traits for a percentage of your gold. They do stuff like you can lock the castle design, some of this other stuff. Like, it just seems like that would be something that would be a neat addition, and maybe it's in there. I don't know, but it's akin to that idea of like Borderlands should have always had a crafting system that let you make weird guns. But it kind of never did. But like that ability to like, hey, look at this amazing system. Here's a thing that we're going to unlock for you, so you can really pick it apart and see how it works and how cool it really is, and all that stuff. I think like systems like that in games are really fun. So I hope that there's something like that later on. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of moving on to the second area and trying to get through it instead of just running in there and dying over and over again, which is how it's been going so far.
I was initially really mixed on the ever so slight art style switch. I think I've grown to like it a lot.
I'm with you that like at first I was like, oh, the first game just looks better. I just think this doesn't feel like as well realized or enough of a change in some ways. But yeah, I'm into it.
Smooth cartoon baby faces for everyone.
Yeah, I like how it looks, man.
Yeah. Heck of a game. And that's out on consoles now. It's been in early access forever, but it is just now coming out on like Xbox and some of that other stuff. So
no Vita, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do?
Turning its back on the system that created its success.
No, it's on PC.
Well, the Vita was a big deal for it. If you recall,
guess you can remote play.
Yeah,
that might be a bad time, actually.
It was, man, that thing on Vita. We'll always have the Vita.
Will we?
The time we shared.
Okay.
With it.
I've got a Vita somewhere. I know that much.
Yeah, I bet I do too.
Yeah, who could say where the hell that thing is?
Probably holding a door open somewhere.
This table's a little wobbly.
Yes, the matchbook of portable consoles.
Citizen Sleeper?
Citizen Sleeper.
What do you think of that?
I took a quick dip in this morning. It reminds me a lot of Norco. Really, really early into it, but I'm really digging what I'm seeing. It feels similar again to I guess a Disco Elysium, where there are certain roles for some of the actions you're doing. It's very story heavy, very text heavy. From the initial hour spent with it this morning, really good stuff. I don't want to speak too much of it or hype it up too much or downplay it too much before I get all the way in, but really digging it. It's reviewing really well as well across the board. Citizen Sleeper. It's out soon. Out soon, I believe.
Cool. And last game here before we move on. Whomst amongst us has gotten deep into Knotwords over the weekend? Because
not to.
Yeah.
That game is smart in a way that I feel like is either I don't know. I'm like struggling with like, is it so simple it's brilliant, or is it so brilliant I still cannot scrape the surface of just how smart it is? I don't know. There's something about it that is really, I think it's because of all the different avenues of strategy you can really apply towards it. When we were playing it on UPF, we were just scraping the surface a little bit, but I have gone full blown mental with this game. I love it.
I downloaded it because of you bringing it to UPF, and yeah, I just got through the all of the free ones, and here paywall. It's like, oh, okay. Maybe I'll
do it two ways, where it's like you can do a subscription or you can just give them $12, and I think the $12 seems like the better option there. Or it's like that's the same price it is on Steam. Also, there's no free version of it there, but yeah. So I guess for people who haven't seen it, it's a Sudoku-esque crossword puzzle. Maybe is that the? You have to make words up, across, and down, and then it draws little boxes or encircles little areas where it says you must use these letters here. So it kind of gives you the rules about what letters go where, but also you must spell words everywhere.
Right. The smart thing is too, like it also combines this really popular mechanic in some Sudoku stuff called Killer Sudoku, where there's these cages.
Sudoku. Or is it Ken? I'm trying to think. Like there's a Sudoku like that draws those cages in that very similar way. So maybe Killer Sudoku is it, but
it's the Sudoku that can kill you. And that is such a cool mechanic too, because just from like a design kind of thing where you know the hints are in those shapes, right? Where like you're forced to, there's always this kind of starting point, right? Where you're like, well, fuck, no word can start with like, a G T, right? You're like, oh, how do I, okay, so now that's the starting point. It's honestly, I think the thing that it really is scratching for me is like the relativity to Sudoku, because it's giving you the hints in its structure, in its kind of almost shape, and that is how I've kind of really loved to like start things off and apply that same logic that I've become. Look, I've become a Sudoku master. It's not a big deal, but I'm using that.
Sudoku,
what I've learned.
It is it's whatever.
It's whatever, but like, I mean,
it's awesome.
It is
after this many years of Sudoku,
but it's gotten so wild now. Like,
like all the other, the offshoots and all those stuff. Yes, definitely.
But as far as Knotwords is concerned, I think there is a special kind of creativity in the construction of these puzzles that that challenge where, look, I remember when we were talking shit on Wordle like 3 weeks after the buzz started, where it was like, you know what, this is kind of easy. I think Knotwords is like consistently challenging in a really cool way, and the daily stuff is great. And
the dailies, I opened up the daily a couple of days ago, and it was the first time I realized it had dailies, and I was like, oh, this is like 10 times, this is a very large puzzle, and I don't feel equipped to touch this at all. and it's freaking scared me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go back to the regular ones because there's a more manageable size for me.
Yeah, it's surprising. It's like you can pop into one and you're just like, oh, okay. These are like those diagrams in Jurassic Park where the DNA is like evolving, right? Like it's it's pretty dope though. I'm a big fan for sure.
Yeah, Knotwords. That's with a K. If you're out there listening,
they are definitely words.
They are absolutely words. Yeah, give that a look. It's free on phones. And it's real good.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What?
It's free on phones, Jan.
Just free on phones.
Yeah, it's free on
phones. Oh, the gambler has something to input to the conversation.
I didn't want to put it on the list, but someone sent me a crane game where it's also fishing, and I'm playing a lot of that too.
I mean, is fishing not just the crane game in nature?
Yeah.
Is it
gotcha.
not?
You don't know which fish you're gonna catch.
Damn.
You know?
Can I even play ridiculous fishing on a modern phone? I don't think
dad
I can.
was right.
I don't think it works.
Can you play killer fishing?
Sorry, Pops. Sega Bass Fishing, great soundtrack. I need everyone in 2022 to know that as well.
Yeah, that's a banger. You should work on a remix album or something. The time is now. Let's do it for video games. They're done. Everyone acquired everyone, but we'll get into that after the break when we get into some news. How about that?
All right.
It's time to keep cool in bed. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have those hot nights, and I don't mean the good kind of hot nights. I mean the like, why am I wet hot nights? You know? Keeping cool in the bed is a dream. But now that dream can be a reality, as they say. Science tells us that the best way to achieve and maintain consistent deep sleep is by lowering your core body temperature. Because temperature-controlled sleep repairs muscle after a hard day's work and improves cognitive function, so you always start your day feeling sharp and alert. Unlike those, you wake up out of a cold sweat and you're just like, where am I? Who am I? What? You like jump up, strike a karate pose, something insane like that. You're not actually ready to start the day. You're going to be like, okay, I've got 3 seconds of adrenaline, and then, oh my God, I've spent all my energy for the day being bewildered and acting like a total lunatic. Chili Sleep is here to prevent the lunacy. Stop the insanity with Chili Sleep. Chili Sleep makes customizable, climate-controlled sleep solutions that help you improve your entire well-being. Now, what does Chili Sleep make? Chili Sleep makes the Uller and the Cube sleep systems. These are hydro-powered, temperature-controlled mattress toppers that fit over your existing mattress to provide your ideal sleep temperature. You slap it on. The Uller is, you put that aside. It's a little box that hooks up to the mattress pad. It's all convenient. Snap, 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 and you're ready to go. These luxury mattress pads keep your bed at the perfect temperature for deep sleep, whether you sleep hot or cold. These sleep systems are designed to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and give you the confidence and energy to power through your day. Imagine, now this is going to be a big one. Imagine waking up and not feeling tired. I know. That can't be real. That's not how it works. It can. Chili Sleep can help make that happen. And for an extra layer of comfort, they also make the Chili Blanket, the only weighted blanket that can also be paired with a control unit for the ultimate sweat-free sleep. Oh. Sleep and sweat-free is, some of these hot nights, man, it's, sometimes it just doesn't cool off at night, and you leave the window open, and then you're like, why am I waking up and my throat is also, because I left the window open all night long. Ugh. It's like I've been gargling gravel all night long. No, close the window and keep cool with the Uller and the Cube sleep systems from Chili Sleep. Head over to chilisleep.com/bomb to learn more and save 30% off the purchase of any new Cube or Uller sleep system. This offer is available exclusively for you and only for a limited time. That's Chili, CHILI, sleep.com/bomb to take advantage of this exclusive discount and wake up refreshed every day. Mother's Day is almost upon us. And I know you're thinking like, I already got flowers coming, but what else should I get? I should probably do something a little extra. I mean, it's my mom, right? Moms are also often one of the few people in our lives who still leave voicemails on our phones or just call to say hi. So maybe this Mother's Day, make that next mom call extra special. Spoil your mom with the gift of quality premium wireless audio courtesy of Raycon. That's right, Raycon wireless earbuds are a must-have for super moms, all those masters of multitasking who need to keep their hands free. With Raycons, you can stay entertained listening to your favorite podcast or music and take phone calls, vivid voice technology, all of that stuff hands-free. So you're doing other stuff, whether that's changing diapers or cooking or just, whether you're break dancing, you're busting out a fat dolphin dive, you need your hands, but maybe you're on the phone. So you need to keep those Raycons in. Raycons are user-friendly for those moms who are just switching to wireless earbuds. That makes them easy to set up, easy to use, and seamless Bluetooth pairing. And they come in a bunch of fun color options. So you can find mom a color that suits her personality and style. Now, the Raycons have optimized gel tips for a perfect in-ear fit. They're comfortable and they're not gonna budge. She won't have a hard time getting used to them. It's not gonna fall out into the bathtub, like whatever she's doing, she's gonna fall out. She's like stirring a batch of cookies and then like, oh, my Raycons are in here. No. Optimized gel tips make it possible. And for the mom on the go, Raycons offer 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life with their compact portable charging case. They're priced just right. You can get quality audio at half the price of other premium audio brands. And Raycon's everyday earbuds have over 49,000 5-star reviews, perfectly fitting for a 5-star mom. Yeah, I mean, these Raycons, they're earbuds with a charging case. That means they're always ready to go when you are. You just slap them in there, they pair up to your phone, and you're good to go. And you don't have to think about it. You just slap them in and move. Tell mom how much you love her and make sure she hears it in crystal clear audio quality with Raycon. Go to buyraycon.com/bomb to get 15% off your Mother's Day order. That's buyraycon.com/bomb. All right, we're back. Now let's get into some of the week in headlines for news of news. Headlines and news. Breaking news at this hour.
Nice.
Yeah. One of the crazy things about being awake at 4 a.m.
Okay.
Is you just take a look at your phone real quick, and then you see some wild shit. You're like, oh man, okay, I got to go back to sleep. And this story was one of those. It's like, okay, this kid is ready to have a diaper changed and get some milk.
And me too, because I've shit myself.
And then, yes, I have also shit my pants because of news that the Embracer Group has purchased Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal from Square Enix.
What the hell?
Get embraced.
Yeah. Those MFers got embraced indeed, for to the tune of $300 million.
Just not that much for all those IPs.
No, they will get 50, a little over 50 IPs. The ones they mentioned are the most recent ones generally. Tomb Raider, which a new game has been announced. Deus Ex, obviously the kind of most recent thing out of one of those Montreal studios. And Thief was the other one. Maybe Thief's not that recent, but they also mentioned Legacy of Kain.
Mm-hmm.
And those are like the 4 IPs that specifically were mentioned.
I'm glad that was
Horde,
mentioned. Okay.
Not Crystal Dynamics' port of Samurai Showdown to the 3DO.
Okay.
I'm sick of this Gex erasure.
Yeah, not a lot of Gex getting mentioned here.
I think I heard Tam stand up on his chair when you said Legacy of Kain.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the best hope that Legacy of Kain probably has as something that could potentially come back. But so far, all we know is that Crystal Dynamics is working on Perfect Dark with the initiative. That work will continue even through this acquisition. And that they also had announced a new Tomb Raider. But that is going to be so early at this point that, like, who knows what that is, but presumably work on that will continue. $300 million, not a lot of money, but then you remember these are the studios that Square like to pin every single one of their failings on. Anytime anything went wrong, anything went wrong, it was like, yo man, that Avengers game sure shit didn't sell, which is true. I mean, it sold some, but it sold fine for a lot of games, but was very expensive to make. I think that's the probably the where you end up with this pricing is you have a lot of studios that are probably around break even. There was also that Guardians of the Galaxy game, which Square pointed out like, hey, this undersold compared to what we thought, and it's which I just like those sorts of situations. You wonder like, when did they make those projections? I assume it was when they were approving budgets, and probably what the real problem was is that they said, go ahead and go spend way too much money on this thing, we think we'll make it back, and then they didn't, or just barely did, or whatever. Whereas I feel like from the outside looking in, when they start talking about it publicly after all that money has already been approved and most of it's been spent, you look at it and you're like, yeah, this looks okay, it looks like it'll sell this, and then it sells that and you go, yeah. Square says this move will give them the flexibility needed to get into new lines of work such as AI and the blockchain, baby.
Square is such a confusing company, man. I don't get what is going on in their corporate brain, because I dug the shit out of Guardians last year, and then I'm popping back into Final Fantasy 14 recently. There's fishing in that. It's great. I'm having a fantastic time. The beginning of that game, much more streamlined than the last time I tried starting from the beginning. But I don't understand any of these moves. I feel like they're so good at building up this goodwill with some of these random little projects and then burning it all away with like the moves of the company as a whole.
Yeah, it just feels like they've been in a weird spot for a while and trying to just like struggling in a sense to figure out who the hell they are. And a lot of these studios, I think, Brendan Sinclair pointed out that, the Eidos acquisition at the time seemed fucking crazy, but that it came at a time when Japanese developers and publishers were struggling to get their games out on the world stage. Like a lot of games just straight up weren't palatable to the Western audience, and they were kind of losing their way a little bit. And, having their hooks in Eidos and Tomb Raider and all other stuff kind of gave them an IO Interactive for a good long time, Hitman and all that sort of stuff. Kind of gave them IPs that worked worldwide or worked in the West, at least. And the thing that's happened, if you think about the last 10 years, think about games like Nier Automata and how well that game did and how much of a phenomenon that game was. Think about how excited people get for a Shin Megami Tensei release in a way that was like much more of a quiet niche thing. 2 generations ago. It is now those sorts of games can be a big deal again. This is a Square that's putting out Final Fantasy VII Remake. This is a Square that's putting out Kingdom Hearts games once every 18 years or so. And those games have a worldwide appeal to them that Japanese role-playing games lost their way and didn't have that widespread appeal. And like kind of like post Final Fantasy VII, it didn't feel like there were that many games that really got their hooks in a big mainstream audience. You had Final Fantasy X and stuff like that, but like the other RPGs from other publishers didn't necessarily rise up with those to the extent that those did. And so it was just kind of a different time. And now all these years later, Square wants to focus on its stuff and all the stuff they acquired, especially the stuff that's like really not making them that much money.
Sure.
In the grand scheme of things, it probably just makes more sense for them to divest themselves of this stuff. And that price to me feels like them just getting away from this sort of stuff rather than have to figure out, okay, what's next for Eidos? Like, what are we going to greenlight? Are we really going to greenlight another Tomb Raider game after we have said that the last 3 undersold, even as they were critically acclaimed and all this other stuff? Like, so I guess I get why they would do this But I also think it's because Square is not that good at their job. And figuring out how to budget these things, how to like what's the right size budget for these studios, like to make these sorts of games. Should they've made a smaller Tomb Raider instead of the big grandiose ones? Maybe that would have done better for them. Should Guardians, like was making these 2 high budget Marvel games the right move? Like having to go give all your money to Marvel?
Yeah,
not all of it, but like Marvel gets its money. They aren't fucking around. So were those bad moves? Should they have not made Marvel games? Probably, considering how much they pinned some of their downsides on those 2 products. And so now that will be Embracer's problem to solve. And for Embracer, this is like, they've been acquiring stuff left and right for the last couple of years here. And this is Tomb Raider the biggest thing they own now? They also own Borderlands. Like, is that like a toss-up thing? Like in my mind, as someone who's been playing games for a long time, Borderlands is not even in the same fucking league as Tomb Raider.
I would say, like on this long timeline, they're probably neck and neck.
Yeah, and Borderlands will get its movie, next year, and
which seems like it'll be pretty high profile.
Yeah, they'll certainly try to make a big deal out of it.
Yeah. I mean, the cadence of those games coming out is pretty regular too, where I feel like Tomb Raiders is now a little shakier.
Yep.
Deus Ex goes with the acquisition, right?
Yeah, the only kind of Western IPs that Square is going to retain are things that are developed by external studios. So like Outriders, Just Cause, and Life is Strange were the ones cited as staying with them. The Square Enix Collective, which is kind of their more kind of smaller indie dev effort, that stuff is staying with them too.
Okay.
All we really know is that there's around 50 IPs, and they named those 4, but I don't know. I don't know what else those studios hung on. I mean, some of it's going to be like, urban chaos, like the other stuff that Eidos published back in the day that is like, who cares? But
I would almost put Deus Ex up there, maybe like a skosh under Borderlands. I feel
there just hasn't been one in a while, I think is my point. Like a new Deus Ex, I don't even know if you are bringing back Adam Jensen at this point. You're probably just like rebooting again and going from there. But yeah, presumably they will make another Deus Ex game, and I don't know that I felt that was ever going to happen under Square.
Sure.
But now I'm like, okay, yeah, that seems like the thing that they would make, because now it's like they're probably not going to go like scoop up a bunch of Marvel IP and try to do that again. Embracer seems maybe smarter than that, or I don't know.
Let's make another Star Wars game.
Yeah, everyone's making those. That's that's the thing that happened, right? Like EA lost its exclusivity, or like did away with it, and now everyone is suddenly making a fucking Star Wars game.
Telling you, Gex, overdue for a gritty reboot.
A sad bastard Gex.
Yes.
I'll take it.
Sad bastard Gex.
I could see a situation
reboot style.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I could see a situation where like maybe those Gex games, or maybe some of these other older games, get re-releases, because
re-releasing Gex would be hilarious, because like none of the jokes
wouldn't work. It'd be terrible. It was always terrible. That's the thing. Those games were always bad.
It was always bad, but it could be good.
Like hopefully they have the original recordings of Dana Gould, so they can go back in and really have them be high res this time around. It's not like Destroy Humans or whatever. Yeah, so Embracer does claim they want to revisit stuff like Thief and stuff like Deus Ex, but they have, obviously Tomb Raider is the only kind of announced thing, I think, out of these studios.
I mean, we kind of we didn't gloss over it. We mentioned it, but like a Legacy of Kain shout out is certainly
that's a big deal in terms of it just at least getting mentioned, because it's like, think of how long has it been?
45 years.
Exactly.
Was there a PS2 game?
Yeah, well, so at some point, Legacy of Kain became Soul Reaver, and then they made sequels to Soul Reaver that no longer had the Legacy of Kain branding on them, and it's just kind of got convoluted. Yeah, they lost the Blood Omen, like kind of franchise name almost immediately. Yeah, I'll say it again. I think the original Legacy of Kain isn't a fucking amazing video game for its day, and a lot of the stuff they made after that I was a lot less into. But obviously, those are the games that people think of when they think of that franchise now.
Something's happening. We'll get something.
Yeah, I do think that this means that Legacy of Kain will come back in some way. Like them mentioning it strongly here. If you look at that list of IP and all, it doesn't even mean that any one of these 3 studios will work on it. Like Crystal could do it, but I don't know. Embracer owns what is it? 124. This is pre this acquisition. 124 internal studios. And they claim they have a pipeline that includes over 230 games, and over 30 of those are AAA games.
30?
That's fucking insane.
Their name ain't a lie.
Yeah. And the Embracer's still so weird to me. Like, and I think it's because like a lot of their rise as this big acquisition company came during the pandemic, and it's like, you know, like money started seeming even more fake during that time, and so yeah, all this acquisition is going to happen, and all this stuff's going to be crazy, and I guess they've just been slowly growing over there for a good long time. Like I found myself reading like the history of the company, and they're like, originally they were just trying to put out unsold copies of EA games in Nordic territories and running retail shops, like just it's a weird company. And then they went and bought the THQ name when that all fell apart, and some of those IPs. And I always thought they were going to rename themselves THQ, but instead they like just one of those studios became THQ Nordic instead of just Nordic Games. And then the Embracer Group emerged to kind of eliminate some of that confusion. They bought fucking Dark Horse, the comics company.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking through their ownership, and it is just like
they own Volition.
It's
like
it is a change.
So now I'm 1 degree of separation from Gex.
Yeah.
You are embraced.
Semi-embraced.
Yeah, nice.
Semi-embraced.
14,000 employees. They say that after the close of this transaction, the United States will be Embracer's #1 country by number of game developers, and Canada will be #2, and that they will have over 14,000 employees. 10,000 of those are game developers. It's crazy how big this company has gotten, and like this is the weird part, and it's weird in a good way, I guess, because it means a lot of people kept their jobs. Like when you think about acquisitions and how you squeeze the value out of an acquisition, it's you're going through and going like, oh, we already have accountants, we don't need any more, and so that division of this company we bought, we can lay those people off. Or hey, we have a PR team. Like they bought Sandbox, a like pretty seasoned fucking PR company a while back too. So you could see them being like, oh, well, we don't need you don't need to have a PR arm. You don't need to have this. You don't have like, we can handle community in a central way or whatever. But like generally, it seems like they've been taking a very hands-off approach to running these studios, which to me seems like a good way to spend a whole lot of money. And I wonder if at some point, if that results in some kind of bloodbath down the line when they do decide like, hey, we can be a little bit more efficient about how we run this stuff. I don't know. This is a crazy acquisition that I think has led to a lot of speculation also of like, is this Square trying to slim down so that they can then get acquired?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was, that's the thought that popped up in my head because of because my brain is poisoned with wrestling, and then, the big wrestling company releasing a bunch of their staff, wrestlers, to look more palatable to be sold. And now I think that with all these other companies of like, cool, there's the focus that like, yeah, Square's going to get focused, it's going to slim down, going to go back to their roots. Or are they just preparing to get sold to someone else now?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a bit of both. I mean, a narrower Square is probably a little bit more attractive, especially, you kind of get like this is just a lot of headcount to get off their books, especially headcount that's like lightly profitable or whatever it is. If they made like what $8 million or whatever it is, this gets all that headcount off and a lot of that other stuff off the balance sheet in a way that might make them more attractive to some company that acquires them. Sony was the rumor, but it's one of those things. I don't know if there's anything to that, or if it's just like, well, Japanese companies buy Japanese companies because that's how they like to do it, or whatever. Or if there's anything to that, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah,
I still think it is the price to me. I don't know. I haven't really like wrapped my head around it, but on its face, it just seems a little low.
It just seems like the Tomb Raider IP on its own
seems more valuable.
That amount of money.
Yeah.
But
it
is
just
it a
makes
case?
It seem like they were really like cleaning their closet out.
Yeah.
And just like, get rid of it.
And there's a lot of business ins and outs that we just don't have access to in terms of the books. But like, I just think it through and go like, well, it is probably a lot of headcount. Like, like let's say it's a break even business or somewhere around there. I mean, it's hard to. I saw some number going around that they had maybe made, after all the expenditures and everything, that it was about 8 million, which is break even for 3 studios that size.
Mm-hmm.
If we're making that if we assume that is accurate, then it's kind of a zero sum thing for Square if they're trying to just like, hey, we have to get this. They probably wanted more money. They probably shopped it around. These studios have been available for a long time. But who's going to pick them up if they've got this track record of underperforming and these big budget games and all this other stuff? If you're looking at it going like, well, heck, who the heck's going to pick this up? Eventually you get to a point where you're like, we've got to move on this. So let's fire sale it out of here. I bet Microsoft at least, I mean, well, whatever. Everyone has discussions with everybody, but I bet that Microsoft probably had at least somewhat advanced discussions about Crystal Dynamics.
They had a chance, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Since Crystal is working on Perfect Dark, and since the initiative was at least started by ex-Crystal people, like there's probably some discussion that happens there. I just feel like with the antitrust stuff that Microsoft has to get over to make this Activision stuff happen, they're probably in a position where they would miss out on some other smaller deals because they're like, well, we don't want to do anything that's going to fuck this thing up, so we're not going to go buy anybody else until this shit is done. That's my guess as to like because the other talk going around is that the Warner Studios have been on and off the shopping block for a good shopping thing. It is now for a good long time, and that perhaps they are back up for sale. But that maybe Warner didn't want to sell the IP with them, which for the Warner, like for Batman, that makes sense. Obviously they're not going to sell Batman along with a video game studio. But it's something about the specifics of that seemed wrong to me because if you're selling the Mortal Kombat studio and they don't travel with the Mortal Kombat IP, what the fuck are you buying? Yeah, like you're better off buying a building across the street from NetherRealm and going to the people, that studio head, and being like, hey, how about the 4 of you come over here and bring as many of your people with you as you can, and we'll make a new fighting game. As opposed to licensing, well, I don't know.
Mortal Kombat with a C.
Yeah, there it is.
How dare you?
Done.
Oh my god, that would be so fucked up.
How Fang 2, we've got this IP. I don't know. Embracer is just a weird thing, man. It has been for a long time, and you just look at it and go like, "Is this a money laundering thing?" Like, probably not. I don't know what the fuck. They have a game. They're trying to build
a money laundering.
Well, yeah. At the end of the day, like they hired a bunch of people or 5 or 6 people to run a game archive where they're just trying to have a library for old video games.
One of the questions is, can I visit the library on their website?
Yeah, and it's like, no. Not currently.
Next question.
This is for us.
And they're starting with like games released in Nordic territories and English games from around those regions, which sure. I just like the value in having physical, like these games are already dumped and preserved for the most part. I don't understand why you want to fill another building full of copies of fucking NES cartridges, but fucking be my guest. I don't see who that helps, but fucking go for it. There's way better, smarter ways to spend that money to actually try to preserve stuff than just to hoard more video games. Trust me, hoarding video games is not worth it.
You can never get out of it.
This might be naive, but I'm glad, at least for right now, no one has lost their job. Right, because
I guess I don't know. I don't stare at the Embracer group as much as maybe one should for how weird and It is,
it's also a tough thing to comment on just because you don't know like the machinations of like what is set in motion by all this sort of stuff or what happened already. It's yes, it's definitely a thing you want to hope for, but to declaratively say yes or no is also tough.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess from the outside looking in, it just seems like one of these days Embracer is going to go like, hey, there's a better way to run this business.
Yeah.
And it's going to involve a lot of finding new efficiencies by eliminating a lot of positions.
Yeah.
That's just a gut feeling based on how long they've let these studios run independently. Like, do they need all those people? Like all other stuff. Like, eventually a business is going to be a business. So you can count on that. They're expecting the deal to close between July and September of this year. And it's just here's $300 million. There's no stock or whatever. It's just like, we're going to buy this thing off you. We're going to take this thing off your hands and figure out what to do with it.
Lot
basically,
with a suitcase full of cash.
No, it's a suitcase full of zippers.
Now I'm on board. I wish Square would have maybe dealt some of its IP that it wasn't going to use alongside this stuff. If the Embracer group had been able to get a hold of the Bouncer, they would make a new Bouncer. They would make the Bouncer too.
Wait. Who takes the Quiet Man?
Oh shit. The most controversial IP at play.
Who developed the Quiet Man?
Oh man.
I'm assuming Jen,
I actually don't. I've played through that game like 5 times now.
That was Human Head. Human Head Studios. So that was technically an externally developed thing. So
it's gonna stay.
We don't know, but if we go by the rules of they hung on to Outriders and Just Cause and Life is Strange, then I would think that the Quiet Man would go in that direction, unless they very specifically said, "Oh, you can have this."
Can I have it, Square? Sure. Can I have the Quiet Man?
This is the bonus. Yeah. Or this is all just a facade to somehow disguise the transfer of the cursed game, right? As a mechanism to kind of like transfer ownership.
Put this in your game archive and then seal it all in cement. Never let anyone surround it by better old games, and hope that it never escapes.
How weird do you think their corporate campus is? Given that I just went to the weirdest one on planet Earth recently.
I don't know. I think like I don't know. What's the vibe check on Embracer? Like,
are they wacky?
They seem nice, I guess.
Right? Like, I don't know
but
enough
also
to.
All those studios are in different locations. So Gearbox is still in Texas. Crystal's going to stay in San Mateo or wherever they are. Like they're not making everyone move to Sweden.
No.
But
that'd be sweet. I'd do it.
Yeah, after the last 24 hours of news, I'm going to say Sweden sounds pretty okay.
They also get Whiplash. Okay, cool. Oh,
all right. Yeah. So they're getting all the hits.
Whiplash is definitely above Tomb Raider.
Yeah. The Whiplash movie is going to, I think, really
Yes, we know that. Yes.
Yeah, so I think that again the takeaway there is that seems like a fucking crazy low amount of money for those IPs, and we'll see how that all goes. Let's see. The CEO of Intel, Pat Gelsinger, is claiming that he feels that the chip shortage will continue into 2024.
Oh, cool.
This is a story coming out of an interview on CNBC that Video Games Chronicle picked up, saying that key manufacturing tools are not as readily available as hoped, and that there aren't enough chips being made to supply demand. But then back in October, he predicted, we're in the worst of it now. Every quarter next year will get incrementally better, but they're not going to have supply-demand balance until 2023. But now he's saying it'll drift into 2024. Everyone kind of has their own opinion on this. I think the interesting thing here is that 2024 is maybe the furthest out number I've heard so far.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be pretty gruesome. I know there's always attempts to try to spin up these types of chip factories in America and some of this other stuff to try to get more factories online, but that's a process that takes a very long time to make it happen. So it's not, you can't just flip a switch and make more chips come out. Lisa Su is the CEO of AMD, had recently said that she expects the second half of 2022 to be when we start to see more supply. And back in September, Phil Spencer of Xbox said that console supply issues will continue into 2022. Yeah.
All right, so a bit of a varying degree of opinion here. I mean,
right, yeah. So there's kind of more optimistic takes out there than this 2024 number, but this is the first 2024 that I think I've seen, and that would be brutal.
Yeah,
I mean,
across a lot of things
outside of games, especially.
Yeah, cars, refrigerators, just.
I guess it's the biggest bummer when it's coming from the chip CEO and maybe not.
Right. Yeah.
I get like the AMD CEO. We have competing CEOs, but I don't know. It's still troubling either way you slice it.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, this seems like it will recover. It's just a matter of like it just gets you thinking. You know, there was another story going around that Nintendo is kind of is potentially forecasting to sell fewer Switches this year. And I imagine that's a mix of like their release cadence and also just being able to supply enough hardware and
totally. I mean,
and
they've sold a lot already.
Exactly. So. Yes. Yeah. And you know, Microsoft is out there saying that their last 2 quarters, like they just had their best non-holiday quarter for Xbox of all time. And you have to wonder how much of that is because they did the Series S, which is, you know, a little bit easier for them to get out there in quantities that are purchasable as opposed to, you know, the PlayStation 5 just being, it's a PlayStation 5 and it's expensive either way. And what's the long-term effects on game development and shipping games and games' ability to sell the quantities they need to sell in order to make their money back? And do we end up straddling these 2 generations for even longer because of it? Like, how much longer are people going to be making PlayStation 4 games? When do we finally get to put that to bed? Like just the number of things that hinge on people being able to get out there and buy the now current consoles is crazy. And you just start to wonder, like, okay, eventually this gets to a point where they're like, well, this generation's going to be even longer.
Yeah.
Because we need to make our money back on the R&D. Like, we need to wait for enough people to buy them and then buy games for them and all this other stuff. Like, will the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X end up being our longest generation simply because like of all these years of supply issues making it hard for people to get, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is there like at all a positive side to this for someone like Sony and Microsoft where they can kind of pause or slow down on whatever R&D or R&D of whatever is the PS6 or the next Xbox, because this generation will be much longer than anyone's actually anticipating?
Maybe. I mean, I imagine that there's probably there could be a little bit of savings there if they get to push it out a little bit and not have to think about it as readily. But I think the more likely situation is that they just spend a lot longer thinking about it. You know?
Okay.
And so they're probably still spending money on R&D. Maybe they just look further out.
Does this help someone like Nintendo, right?
Yes. Nintendo is its own thing, man. I don't know. Yeah. Like I don't like the Nintendo situation is interesting because, you know, like they're working on whatever's next for them by now, almost certainly.
Yeah.
And they are shipping so off cadence compared to where PlayStation and Xbox hit, that they're their own thing. They're in that Dreamcast lane of like half generation in, we go, here's this new thing.
their own orbit now.
Yeah,
it's been like that for a while now.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
so
That's true.
but the reason they do have to care about what the other consoles are doing is because they have to care about third parties' ability to port their existing work to whatever, whether it's the Switch or Switch 2, whatever you want to call it. Like that's the stuff that matters there, is like, so I'm sure when they look at like what's next out of Nintendo, what's the next real console out of Nintendo, they probably sit down and they go like, okay, well, where's everybody else at? We would love to be able to hit, like if they can get a handheld out, which I don't even know if it's possible, but if they can get something out that's in that same power range as a PS5, but they get it out, you know, I don't know what, next year, 2 years out, whatever it is, where it might be a little bit easier to hit that level of power in a handheld or something, then companies will be more, it'll be easier and cheaper for them to port their existing work onto that platform. Whereas as more and more companies shift over to only making games for PS5 and Xbox Series X, at some point the existing Switch is just left in the dust. It becomes that situation where like you basically have to take those assets, give them to someone else, and go like, port this game down a generation, do your best, and then it comes out on Switch, and even then maybe it doesn't even sell, because just third party stuff is just weird on the Switch sometimes.
Fair.
So yeah, there's hidden benefits probably all over it, but so much that gets offset by the uncertainty that it probably doesn't lead to quite as much of a savings as you would hope. That's my guess. All right, the time has come. It's May, and that means it's time for us to talk about Balan Wonderworld.
Oh, goody.
Ooh.
I didn't get this on my calendar.
Yeah, I assume Square Enix still owns this IP and that it didn't go to Embracer.
Well, you saw that price. I mean,
yeah, well, yeah, for 300 million, you're not going to get a Balan Wonderworld with that.
No,
I mean, come on.
You got to
Not
throw
this
in
market.
another few hundred million if you want that. This is something you don't see a lot of. Yuji Naka, you know, one of the creators of Sonic the Hedgehog and all the Sonic team, all this other stuff, legendary video game creator, got on Twitter and talked a fucking gang of shit about Square, the development of Balan Wonderworld, and Arzest, the studio that did a lot of the development work, basically saying, hey, this thing was released in an unfinished state and what the fuck, and Square sucks, is more or less what he said. This is I want to give a special shout out to Video Games Chronicle here, because they actually went and translated the tweets, whereas I saw a whole lot of news stories out there going like, well, Google Translate says this, and it's like, that's don't do that. Google Translate says a lot of fucking crazy. Like if you Google Translate his tweets, it's fucking,
it's probably pretty awesome.
It's yeah. I mean, yeah, you do not get the vibe of it based on the couple of actual translations that I've seen. So he ended up going to court over this.
And this came out, and this obviously came out before the Embracer news, right?
This was April. Yes. This just on the heel, not that much. Yeah, a little bit. Yes,
A couple days, right?
Yeah, a couple days. So he had a dispute where I guess he was removed as the director of the game 6 months before its release, which was not news that necessarily got out there in this way. I think there was an element of like, well, I'm done with my part of the project, and so I'm moving on and that sort of stuff. But no. His big points of contention are that Arzest submitted the final build without fixing a bunch of bugs. To which I guess I would say that's every video game now. And the other one is that they, as part of the promotional run up to the game's release, they were going to have some YouTuber play one of the songs on piano. And he was like, we have this original score. Why don't we just use the original score? What the fuck? Which is maybe a little lower on the totem pole of complaints here. So I maybe I should just read some of this, or maybe like his comments on Twitter as translated by Video Games Chronicle. Yeah, it's And again, this is not something you see a lot of developers do, but certainly in Japanese development, you really don't see this.
No.
Like, you have not seen the Hideo Kojima fucking here's what went down fucking tweet storm.
It's
which is probably the best for his safety in some sick way. But yeah, you don't see a lot of this. Also, I'm just going to say here, Shot 2048, which is the mobile game that Naka developed with his son's input, is a good little mobile game. It's got a little physicsy kind of ball flinging thing to it. It's a fun little thing. Shot 2048. Check it out. All right. About 6 months before Balan Wonderworld launched, a business directive was made to remove me as director of Balan Wonderworld, so I filed a lawsuit against Square Enix. I would like to share additional information now that the trial has concluded. I believe that if they don't care about games nor their fans, Square Enix is a bad company. According to official documents, the cause of my removal as director of Balan Wonderworld is due to 2 main points. The decision was ultimately carried out by the producer, promotional partner, sound director, project director, and human resources. One point was when a YouTuber was to perform and publish the score of in-game music for promotional purposes. We got in trouble because we believed it was odd that a ghostwriter would write an arranged song for a brand new game, so we asserted that the original song should be used rather than an arrangement. Furthermore, the business relationship with Arzest fell apart due to my comments about Arzest submitting the final build without fixing bugs, even though there were problems during development, and I was pushing for further polish. After this, Oshima spoke to the producer, Fujimoto, about this. The second point is that Oshima wrote an email to Fujimoto saying, I gathered the development staff and informed them about pushing back the trial phase of development. The decision was made by producer Fujimoto. Let's do our best for Mr. Fujimoto. The staff applauded and cheered. This was wholly unexpected, and we were very touched. To the staff, who had recently been rather dejected, we're at an instant revitalized. Thank you very much. The entire staff will do our best. That's a quote from Oshima here. I don't have anything to do with the development timeline because that's created by the producer, not me, the director. Such tight deadlines are decided by the producer. Something didn't seem quite right. And it's a lot of stuff where you're like, hey, game, like a lot of what he's saying here is like, I think games should be good and Square thinks games should ship.
I was going to ask so he went to court and it's like,
there's no indication here as to so over being removed as the producer of the game, or being removed as the director of the game is what he's making it sound like here.
Yeah, but like, can't your company just fire you? Like, unless it's a discrimination thing or something. Like, what is he going to court for?
I can't tell you anything about Japanese law in this situation, or that if he was, he may not even have been an employee. It may have been a contract situation. Where he was coming in to do this or something. I don't know what his employment status was for this project and all the other stuff. So there's probably a few too many ins and outs there to really, or I don't know that information is necessarily out there about this stuff.
Just weird to publicly drag on Twitter and then not go into the detail of like what were you going to court for? Was this like a wrongful firing in some way? Or,
Or was it, hey, his name is still associated with it, even though they removed him,
thing or something?
Yeah. He goes on to say, I was banned from sharing and liking posts on social media sites, and so I do not believe that Square Enix is taking good care of their fans. There were so many kind comments and wonderful fan art for Balan Wonderworld, and I'm sincerely sorry that I could not support you. I'm also truly sorry to the fans who bought and supported Balan Wonderworld. Moving forward, I can finally respond to you if you mention or tag me on social media. And basically says like, hey, we should be working on games up until the last minute, and cites an example in Sonic the Hedgehog where 2 weeks before going gold, we changed the mechanics where if you even had a single ring, you would not die. Even up to the very end, we were still trying to improve the game, and I hope that everyone is still enjoying those games today. No one ever did.
I'll also do it for Mr. Fujimoto.
Yeah. And basically he's saying that, so game creators are supposed to improve their games until the very end, and I believe it's wrong to prevent them from carrying out this goal. I asked my lawyer to negotiate with our business partners to at least allow me to address issues on Balan Wonderworld's development until the very end, but they ignored my requests, so ultimately I decided to file a lawsuit in court. It is because of this That's interesting. His conclusions here are very interesting. And remember, this is one side of the story.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
It is because of this that Balan Wonderworld received all the criticisms and comments you all know well.
Okay.
It is quite unfortunate that a project I had spearheaded from the beginning would turn out this way. Personally, I believe that it is a true disgrace that Balan Wonderworld was released in the state that it was in. I wanted to show the world an action game in its proper light. Therefore, I believe that Square Enix and Arzest are companies that care about neither games nor their fans.
That's all game companies, like big ones. They just want to make money.
Yeah. And also, I don't think him being on the project for the last 6 months would have made that game good.
No, I was going to say that as well.
Bugs are not the game's only problem, you know, and you're not going to completely overhaul, all these busted things about it that aren't technically glitches in only 6 months.
Yeah, it was such, unless his was like, hey, the big bug is that the character doesn't move fast enough and a lot of these power-ups are garbage, and like if those were, like even I again, I'm not an expert. I do not make video games. Mm-hmm. I suspect if you had given them another year to make that game, it would not have turned out to be some like profound, like it would not, would it be different? Sure, maybe, I don't know. Would it be less buggy? I guess, I don't know. Like I never had a hey, this feels unfinished sort of thing, unless he is trying to say that like, hey, there's a whole other game here that we basically commented out at the end because we ran out of time to make it work or something. But like all of the out of level stuff of like getting your Tims and making them go around on the little spinny thing and all, like it was just, all that stuff was just straight up bad.
Yeah.
Like if it would have been 20% better, would that game be even good? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Like that game was a disaster, is a disaster in numerous ways. Is it worth all of the shit that it gets online? Probably not. It's probably not quite that bad. It is not like worst game ever made bad. It's like questionable in a ton of ways. It is not a good game. But it just seems like here's this slow, boring platformer.
Yeah. With
it's
a
not
creepy
like
farmer.
Here's this egregiously broken, with a very creepy farmer. It's not like abject, it's not broken.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't come across as unfinished in the way that a lot of modern games feel unfinished. It just feels bad in a way that it's like that curse of like mediocrity is a strong word because I think it's sub mediocre, but like it's that thing of like it's just boring. I don't want to play it, not because it's super bad or super good. It's just there. And you're like, wow, a bunch of people made this. I don't know why, but I'm not going to see it through because that's ridiculous. So I don't know. I feel for him because obviously, you get booted off a project. It's very easy to be like, hey, fucking, if I had been there, that things would have gone differently, and maybe they would have. But I just don't think that like it's hard for me to believe that like if everything had gone according to his plan or if he had gotten his way, that this game would have been dramatically better.
Yeah. Also just so interesting to see someone, publicly drag the situation on Twitter, especially Japanese developer. That's this is like a once in a million year sort of situation. You don't see this like ever.
Yeah.
Including from developers who probably have a good reason to go on a Twitter rant about, practices behind closed doors.
Yeah. And, I don't know that he was necessarily expecting to go work in this business again, but I feel like in the Japanese industry, that's the sort of thing that's going to be like, okay, well, we're really not.
He just burned every possible bridge in like the whole country's industry there. Like, yeah. Business relationships are like holy things.
But Shot 2048 is pretty good. He made that himself and threw it out there. It's a pretty good little mobile game. Check it out. Speaking of little mobile games.
Oh boy.
You heard of Warcraft?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about
Orcs versus Humans? No. This is a long-running series. I guess it's on the personal computer primarily. They made an MMO called World of Warcraft. Before that was a real-time strategy series.
Okay.
In 2, they had boats. It's very good. The boats were very good. Now they are making a game for phones. It's called Warcraft Arclight Rumble.
What are those words?
Really?
What are all those words?
Really?
Warcraft Arclight Rumble.
Yeah, use them all.
Add an X in there. Spice it up.
You know?
Like a Warcraft. Like, where do you want that X to go? Like Warcraft Arclight Rumble X.
Yeah.
Colon mystery of the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Mysteries of the Storm. So this looks pretty Clash Royale like to me. As someone who is not super deep into those games, it gave me kind of Gears Pop vibes.
Yeah, actually,
guy who has only played Gears Pop says getting some Gears Pop vibes off of this.
As someone that played too much Clash Royale and is always tempted to dip back into it, and someone that also played Gears Pop, this actually did remind me of Gears Pop more.
Okay.
So you're not alone there, Jeff.
Good to know that I'm not completely, or that I'm sick in the head in the right way, I guess.
There we go. A mutual sickness.
Yeah. They announced this morning. It is going to be coming out in some territories this year. They've got a closed beta that'll be happening relatively soonish. It's got 60-ish characters. It's got some kind of campaign along with the, kind of PvP stuff. And 60. I don't know. It's because you'll pick a main character, and then you'll have your units. You'll pick from like 6 different factions. And so, if you want the example, one of the examples they gave is like, oh, if you're using a lot of siege units, if you're using this guy, siege units get bonus gold or something, like that sort of thing. Let's see, over 70 missions in the single player campaign. They put out like a 12-minute video of them like saying the word chaos over and over again and counting the number of times they said it in a way that makes me feel like no one working in that game ever saw anything about Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origins.
So
they just
weird.
saw people online talking about chaos and said, that's a meme. We could let's just do that.
The joke is just the word. It's just the word. That's the joke.
Yeah.
Kids love chaos these days.
The kids do love chaos because honestly, what's the fucking alternative these days? Have you looked outside?
Economy.
You have to embrace her chaos.
Yeah. This looks like an okay one of those. I have no idea what to even say past this.
Yeah. it's one of those.
Yeah. It seems sensible that they would make this game. You look at it and go like, yes, that seems like a game that you would make on the heels of like, what do we do on mobile with the Warcraft IP? Sure.
Okay.
It seems really late to do this though.
Also, yes. It seems like years late to the Clash Royale clone party.
Yeah, because I feel like, the new hotness, like maybe they should have made a word game. With like World of Warcraft trappings, like
World of Warcraft,
all the lore,
yeah.
all the lore
Wordle of Warcraft. Oh my god!
I mean, come on, we already have a better title than that gobbledygook.
God, we keep giving away free ideas.
I know. TM.
Yes, write it down, mail it to yourself.
Okay, I'm on it.
And so it's got a cartoony look, which they are saying will that the maps are brimming with joyful chaos. Joyful chaos is a phrase they used in the video as well. And yeah, I don't know. You'll build units, you'll send them down lanes, you'll try to attack things. And it was interesting watching this video and going like, I feel like I've seen a dozen games like this, but they are describing it without mentioning any of those games because they have to.
Yeah.
And so they're like, it's like a tower defense, but more like an offensive tower offense. And you're like, yeah, no, that's another way people have described these games before. Yes, you're hitting every mark. Yes. And yeah, I don't know. It seems like it looks like it could be totally okay.
Yeah.
And it's sure. I mean, they should. I don't know what you do with Warcraft in this day and age. There was Axios, Stephen Totillo noted a few days before this announcement that a lot of the kind of boilerplate text that Activision puts out every year as part of its like financial disclosures. It's just like, what is Activision and what is its business? That a lot of there are changes year to year, usually minor changes. And in this one of the things I saw was that a lot of the spots where it said World of Warcraft had been changed to just say Warcraft, and talked about it as a grander franchise instead of just the World of Warcraft MMO that is very popular, which is kind of foreshadowing that they are making a game that just has Warcraft written on it. I feel like if this game had come out 4 years ago, it probably would have been called World of Warcraft Arclight Rumble. You know?
Well, I mean, perhaps it is a bit of an appeal to a different, it is an appeal to a different kind of audience, but also, a much easier to digest branding pivot and a much sort of like cartoonier layer of whatever you want to call it. And I don't know, you have the capital to make this maybe better than some of the other competition out there, and all of a sudden you got yourself a little bit of a different kind of vertical franchise, and you're on your way to doing, I don't know, something else like a Happy Meal.
Yeah, the Warcraft Happy Meal. You're gonna want to hoard these. I don't know. It will have raids. It will have all that other stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the interesting part about this to me is that like, hey, it's called Warcraft and reminds you that there is more to Warcraft than just World of Warcraft, and you wonder, will they ever get back into the Warcraft business in a serious way? I don't know that that's like, hey, will you see a Warcraft 4 or a Warcraft RTS? But like, will it be?
We're going to see a Warcraft auto chest, just Warcraft auto chest, 5 years from now.
Yeah, this is the latest thing. Have you heard of this?
You guys remember this?
Remember this? Yeah, it'll be like somehow retro at that point. I don't know. Yeah, I wonder, and it's also kind of weird because like these are all announcements happening, not that long before they're set to get acquired, and then a new leadership team will be able to kind of put their hand on the wheel and go like, nope, this, and we'll see what they end up doing, because I who the hell knows. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. That thing's supposed to come out in some territories this year. Closed beta relatively soon. Warcraft Arclight Rumble.
The game name.
Deluxe.
That's a game name. Deluxe, that's when they bring it to PC. Then it's Warcraft Arclight Rumble Deluxe. And then you're going to see some serious shit.
Yeah.
That's it for the news. We're going to come back. We'll get into some emails and such on the other end of this break. And stay tuned. What's a day where no one wins? The waiting game. When it comes to hiring, don't wait for great talent to find you. Find them first with Indeed. When you're hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's powerful hiring partners will help you do it all. You can find great talent faster through time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. With Instant Match, over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed data. Now, candidates you invite to apply through Instant Match are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who only see it in search, according to, again, Indeed's data. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor that post, you'll get a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description, and you can invite them to apply right away. It just takes all the time out of it. Every time you hire, it's just like the waiting, just sitting there going like, anyone apply today? Yeah, we got like 50 applicants. All right, and anyone qualified? I don't know. Who has time to read that stuff? Indeed will sift through that stuff for you and get that hard work done. When you pay to post a job, Instant Match shows you the candidates whose resume on Indeed fit your description immediately. So you can just get it moving and hopefully hire faster. Even better, Indeed's the only job site where you only pay for applications that meet your must-have requirements. So, you're not wasting a bunch of money looking for unqualified candidates. You sit there, you go like, okay, the person I'm hiring needs to have this, this, and this. and Indeed will find them. Indeed will find them for you. Indeed is an unbelievably powerful hiring partner, delivering 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined, according to Talent Nest back in 2019. Remember 2019? I do. Join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/bomb. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/bomb. That's Indeed.com/bomb. Terms and conditions apply. Pay per qualified applicant. Not available for all users. You need to hire? You need Indeed. It is time to wash that ass. It's time to wash that ass. No, I don't know where to put the emphasis in here. It's time for spring cleaning. Do more than just dust your cabinets and organize your closets this spring. Spring clean your beehole with Hello Tushy bidets. After wiping with dry, scratchy toilet paper all winter long, that ass could use a serious refresh. Put your cleanest booty forward and start washing with Hello Tushy. It's crazy, you know, it's there's been resistance to this concept, and I get it. The initial concept of like, hey, we're gonna put this weird toilet seat onto your toilet and it's gonna blast you in the ass with cold water, and that's good for you. You're gonna be like, wait, what? No, what? No, don't do what? Toilet water? No. It's clean. It comes, you connect it up. It's not coming from the bad water. It's coming from the good water. First and foremost, let's get that out of the way. It's designed to clean you up fast. You just boom, 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 just a little bit. You're not sitting there for 20 minutes going, well, I mean, maybe you are. Look, I don't want to tell you how to use your Hello Tushy bidet. If you want to sit there for an hour, that's your business. I don't recommend it. I'm a more in and out. It's like boom, boom, hit me. All right, great. That's gonna get some of the it's gonna get some of that off of there, and then you're gonna follow up with a little bit of toilet paper. You gotta pat dry, do a light wipe, all this other stuff. You're not in there like a construction site going like, all right, get in there, smear it all around, get in there and drill. No. The water does most of the work for you. You come in and just do like a spot finish, kind of slap it up and rub it down kind of deal. And then you're done. You move about your day. You're using less toilet paper. So there's just less paper waste. And, it's not so much a problem these days, but when toilet paper was scarce a little while, not that long ago, I had that moment of like, well, what do we do? What do we do if we don't have this? Because we use this, a lot of it. So if you're using less, that's a little less stress, right? It attaches to your existing plumber. It attaches to your existing toilet. You don't need an electrician or a plumber to come in and do this. You can do it yourself. You just simply spray and pat dry. You hook it up in less than 8 minutes, and it just makes your restroom your best room. So make your next move your best move and hook up Hello Tushy today. The complete Tushy system will get you that Tushy bidet attachment, an ottoman, and a toilet brush. An ottoman. Wow. That is fancy. Hello Tushy has cleaned over 1 million asses. Join those asses and take care of your business the cleaner way. We want everyone out there to have a clean ass. Visit hellotushy.com/bombcast to get 10% off plus free shipping right now. That's hellotushy.com/bombcast for 10% off. All right, we're back, and now it's time to get into some emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com is the email address. Go ahead and send some of your emails over this way, and we'll take a look at them. Just like Taylor did here. It says, hello, Bombcast. I recently scored a pre-built PC with a 3080 and a water-cooled 10900 KF.
Okay.
I have a 1080 144 hertz monitor, but I'm looking for a monitor to test its true potential. What brands or figures should I be looking for? What are you looking for in a monitor? Like that's a pretty substantial machine. Being limited to 1080p at that point seems, you know, that's you want to do better than that.
Sure,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you can get. It depends on how much you want to spend, dear friend.
Yes,
maybe try and win a good monitor while you're at it.
You know,
yeah, sure.
You can get yourself a 4K HDR, 1 millisecond fucking computer monitor. Go nutso with that.
I feel like some of those monitors are not where I want them to be. I mean, well, but I haven't looked at the
like
super expensive, but like, no, like just so I want a high. I can't get them out of China. What are we doing?
They're stuck in Nebraska. What the fuck?
They're stuck in the canal. I want a variable refresh rate, so like a G-Sync monitor.
Okay.
And since you have a 3080, you're probably looking for a G-Sync monitor as well. And this one will overclock to 165 hertz. This is an Asus. This is like, what is it, like a ROG? I have joined the Republic of Gamers.
Yes,
with this monitor.
You ROG dogging?
Yes, I'm ROG dogging video games now.
Sorry, I laughed too much.
And I have to go see my doctor and get some shots now. He said I need penicillin for how ROG these games are. This thing does 1440p, 165 hertz. It's not an OLED, but it is a G-Sync, and I think it's a hell of a monitor. HDR feels like it's just kind of still coming into its own on PC.
Yeah.
I know they have the auto HDR stuff for Windows 11 is there. I don't know if it's good or not. I know it exists. And I'm really interested in it. But finding that collection of like, I would like to have an OLED. I would like to have HDR, which obviously, if you get an OLED, don't get one without the other. And I want to have a G-Sync monitor with a good high frame rate. And then resolution is probably actually like my least, like I think 1440p is really good. 4K is cool, but like 1440p, you're hitting that high frame rate, you're hitting that refresh rate of the monitor a lot of the time, or better, you know, or around there, and then the G-Sync kind of makes up for the rest. And it's been nice to run around that range. But if I could have this monitor, but it was OLED and had HDR, that's pretty much everything I'd be looking for. But I don't know that those monitors exist from a lot of different manufacturers yet, and the ones that do are fucking crazy expensive.
Yeah, I think the OLED in these sizes of like practical computer monitors are just not there yet. I feel like that'll be a thing. Also, you're right though, like when you're this close and looking at a screen this small, and when I say small, I mean around 26 to 32 inches.
This is a 27, I think is what this one is. Yeah.
You know, you sort of are in that sweet spot of not maybe needing 4K and also being able to get away with the 1440p resolution, which I have the same thing. I have a I am also a member of the Republic.
I had no idea. I wish I could give you the secret handshake here.
Yeah, the good side of the Republic, as I'm sure we're all on that side of. But yeah, it does exactly what I want. I'm with you though, where like HDR is not there yet. I feel like there was a lot of really ambitious and flowery language regarding HDR with computer monitors in the last year or two, and it is of my opinion that like that stuff is just still not there yet. And I would also argue that no HDR experience outside of the OLED, save for a couple of other maybe Samsung technologies that they've got out there, it's just not as good as it's sort of meant out to be. But I at this point, I think you can kind of get away with not going full blown HDR for your monitor, which probably wouldn't have a huge impact on the final cost. Also, don't forget G-Sync, or the compatibility for that has kind of broken wide open, where you are not paying the absurd premium that you would have to pay in the beginning of the G-Sync revolution, where all that stuff can kind of like there was something happened where it was like, oh, you know what, we should just all these monitors do it, we don't need to.
But I think NVIDIA still like whitelists the FreeSync monitors by hand. Like they don't. It's still kind of a limited.
It's not turnkey. There's some kind of process they do or some certification that they have to do. But I'm seeing that be a much more pervasive thing. So you know,
yeah,
I think
the costs have come down. Like this monitor, I think is now $600-ish.
Yeah,
which that feels like a pretty solid deal to me, especially when you start going up to like the 4K and the OLED and all that other stuff, and they're like, "Hey, come give us $4,000 for a monitor." You're like, get fucked. What?
Yeah. That those days are over. I think,
but they're not unless you're getting, if you're trying to get HDR and OLED and all that other stuff, then they are still.
You're just buying a TV. You just buy a TV. Like,
well, yeah, I guess at that point, I mean? Like that's but I can't have. Like the smallest these LGs go down to is 48, which I still think would be too big.
I want to say there's a 42 now.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah. There might be. I think there might be the C2. Is there? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
There's a 42-inch now that they make.
That's
interesting.
That's getting there. That's I think is still a little big for a fucking PC monitor.
100%.
But
like if 3 feet in front of your face, 2 feet in front of your face, still not great.
On the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, like it's you might be right with that, Jess. I like that setup. Maybe. I mean, look, at that point, you're paying $1,400. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a hell of a. I mean, that's not too far off from what I paid for this C1. And
bottom line, though, to the emailer, I think we did a decent job of highlighting those metrics that you have to pay attention to, right? So
yeah, for me, it is frames win games, baby.
Even if you have to smooth them.
You need those, seriously, you need those extra 21 frames you're getting out of that.
Yeah, by overclocking this monitor from 144 to 165, I play that much better.
And
that's exactly how it works.
I mean, everyone knows all the iframes exist in those 15. So.
Yes, exactly. Meg in Massachusetts writes and says, a few months ago, I sold my PlayStation 5 to buy a Series X. Hexic HD is literally the only game I've played on it.
What?
That's living right there.
What is
what
this?
Life
Hexic
are you
HD
living?
is the game that came packed in with the expensive version of the Xbox 360. It's a hell of a puzzle game.
This email is the equivalent of like weird alone sad dinner stories. Like it's you know what I mean? Like this is the thing that you just say as it's almost like art. Right, it's almost like sort of expressionism going on, where it's just like, all right, I guess you could make smoothies in the upper tank of a toilet if you really wanted to. Thank you for your contribution to society.
I don't think this is as bad as that, but okay.
It's art. There's no good and bad. This is what it is. It's great.
It's probably like a decent Puzzle Quest game on Xbox 360 that you could get on an Xbox Series X. You know, you want to keep that puzzle vibe going. Give it a go. I don't know. Let's see here. The man finally is here to weigh in on all our crime talk.
Oh no! You a cop? You a cop?
Oh,
you have to tell me. You have to email us.
So this is from someone who is staying anonymous. I'm currently working as a manager for a retail store chain and manage multiple stores as part of my job. The comment on last week's show that the call is coming from inside the house is very appropriate. Currently, we monitor our employees more strictly than we monitor the shoplifters. Shoplifters can steal small items and do $5 to $10 damage, and that's definitely built into the P&L. Employees can move cases and do thousands of dollars of damage. I have fired employees for 1, not ringing items in the register, 2, packing cases and stealing from the warehouse, 3, being in cahoots with the delivery driver and not taking deliveries and still charging the store.
Oh, that dude. I don't like
fucking some. That's
grand larceny. Like,
you won't get caught.
I don't understand. And you're fired. That is all. Take your stuff and leave.
Yeah.
You should be calling the. I don't know. I'm not saying. It's just that is. That's rough.
Yeah. The stores I work for are family owned and not some mega corporation. If these people aren't held accountable, the business probably shuts down. I just want to tell you guys to do a PSA. Tell people not to be fucking douchebags.
Yeah. Steal the small stuff. Okay.
Go work at Walmart and steal their shit.
Yeah, that's right.
We don't condone stealing anything. but
No, we don't condone stealing anything. But, you know,
for the audio listeners, everyone just did a huge wink to the screen.
What kind of, you know, I don't know what kind of access to the world do you have working in an Amazon warehouse? That's what I want to know.
You could get hella boxes.
All the cardboard you could.
I just assume that there's some fucking like Bezos robot that is on the case that like fucks you into the ground the minute it sees you do anything funky. You probably don't have time to steal anything because they're like, what?
You're vaporized before you know it.
2 pisses this hour. You're fired. How dare you piss on my time? Ben in Boston writes in and says, when the Switch launched, there was an expectation that it would allow the bigger console-sized games and the smaller, less expensive handheld-style games to coexist on one platform, the full range of Nintendo's offerings in one place. Looking at it now, do you think this potential has been lived up to, or have the games that would have come to something like a DS fallen by the wayside?
I'm not sure I understand what this person is saying.
Well, that the Switch was, you know, by being both a thing you hook up to a TV and a handheld, that it could hold Nintendo's handheld concepts and its full-blown console concepts.
Well, I think you accomplished that with like the amount of indie darling stuff that you've got on available on the store there, and you know that kind of satisfies that part of it, right?
Yeah, I think if Nintendo did a better job, and if these GBA leaks turn out to be true, then having access to that library would have been neat. You really make it feel like, oh, this is like a big Game Boy Advance.
And games changed, like there are a lot of smaller games across all platforms from smaller teams and stuff. And so like, yes, the Switch is doing that, but so is everyone else. They just don't all have handhelds. So yeah, I think the Switch is doing pretty well at having big and small games. All right. Let's maybe get a couple more here. Kyle in Colorado Springs says, Jan talking about working in a cupcake shop last week reminded me of a weird interaction I had while also working at a cupcake shop.
Oh.
About 10 years ago, I had a part-time job working at a cupcake shop. It was very low traffic, and I would often just bring in a laptop and watch movies on my shift while serving the occasional cupcake to a customer. One evening, a tall, long-haired, business-looking guy walked into the shop with the speed of a guy about to get into a fight. He came up to the counter and said, 1 red velvet. I pulled a red velvet cupcake out of the display and handed it to him. He immediately grabs it out of my hand, takes a bite, then put it on the counter and just started saying to himself, nope, that's not it. Not the right one.
Oh, this is awesome.
He then turned around and started walking out. I yelled at him, hey, you need to pay for that. He spun around, reached into his pocket and pulled out a $20 bill and slapped it on the counter, then rushed back out to his car and drove away. To this day, I still wonder if he ever found the red velvet cupcake he was looking for.
Oh, man, this is a guy.
That is so amazing.
He's chasing
maybe
a high.
He's mistaken.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the flavor he's thinking of either. Maybe he meant devil's food.
Yeah.
That guy was in a movie, but no one was filming it, is really what that sounds like, where he was just living that character life.
That guy was Nicolas
cocaine?
Cage.
Yeah.
And that man.
Is that more of a cocaine thing or a meth thing?
No, it is not a meth thing.
That's not a meth thing. You don't eat a lot on meth.
You don't move, really, I feel
You clean a lot.
You don't have a $20 bill in your pocket.
Well...
Yeah, you're chewing then. Ice cubes to keep the...
It seems like a cocaine thing.
Cocaine.
I don't know.
Yeah, I had similar experiences.
Stone cold sober, but just crazy.
Yeah.
I almost wanted to be stone cold sober. Like, to me, that it makes it a more enjoyable tale.
Yeah, definitely. It's always fun when the email sender line has a very distinct real sounding name on it, and then the signature on the email is another different real sounding name.
Nice.
I go with what people signed, but Levi in Ohio wrote in to say, on the most recent episode, you were discussing the various scars you had. It reminded me of a scar I got from being shanked in the hallway.
Oh,
what?
Okay.
For some reason, when I was a junior, my very small rural high school had a week-long stabbing spree of increasing severity.
Oh my God.
Spirit Week.
It all started with an innocent thumbtack prank, but kept escalating to the point my arm was sliced open by a razor blade taped to a plastic spoon handle and had to go to the nurse.
The nurse!
By Friday afternoon, the school had to hold an assembly about the dangers of bloodborne pathogens and why we shouldn't be stabbing each other. None of it was done out of anger or real intent to harm, just a bunch of dumb 16-year-olds who thought it was funny to come up with creative ways to cut their friends.
Yeah, I'm fine with high school students like defacing bathrooms like they are now.
Yeah.
As long as they're not stabbing each other.
Straight up like crafting a fucking shank out of a plastic spoon and razor blade.
People are different in Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, people get bored, right? Kids especially
Yeah.
are the most bored of them all.
That's like literal weapons grade boredom.
I feel like if you were really serious about this whole like prison shank thing, though, you would have gotten a spoon and really sharpened it up on the ground.
Yeah, you posers.
Yeah, what the fuck? A razor blade taped to a plastic spoon. You're dead first week in prison.
I mean, did you
on the train?
Did you need stitches? Like a razor blade attached to, like you could easily kill somebody. Easily.
Yeah, you cut the right spot.
Yeah.
That's gonna
right done. That's it.
The thigh right over
That's
here.
it. Good night.
Game over.
Say good night. Crazy fucking kids. What are you thinking?
This was last week.
Dumbass.
Yeah. Boredom is a motherfucker, man.
I guess so.
I'm curious what year this was.
God, it pisses me off. Like the boredom leading to just like straight up accidental murder.
Yeah. Well, it's
What
like
was his motive,
it's not boredom.
Yeah, like another classic case of boredom, spawning murder. Classic.
It's Ohio. What the fuck else am I gonna do?
Touch grass,
chili?
motherfuckers.
No, the chili will
Jesus.
fucking kill me anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Get really into chili or something. Like, oops, my friend dipped my hand into a bowl of chili. That's cool.
That's good. Walk around the hallways with a bowl of chili and just fucking be like, hey, what's up? And then just grab someone's hand and dip it in there and hold it in there and make them look at you and know that you're doing it. Like that's
seems more harmless than slashing at people.
Get into that. But also the chili is scalding hot and it's burning people's skin off.
Oh, I did think about that.
There was a thing that the kids were doing when I was in elementary school. There was like, I don't know, it's probably like a week-long thing, but for whatever reason it stuck with me, where like you get up against the wall and then people lean on your chest until you kind of pass out.
What?
Yeah.
I want to say someone has died from that.
Yeah.
Oxygen. Oxygen. You see stars and yes,
deprivation.
When I was little, was trying to do the choking game thing where you like lean up against the wall, put your head like below your heart, and kind of squeeze your neck for a while, and then you go up.
Cool.
And it's supposed to like make you see stars or pass out or something like that. And I was like, can we please not do this at my 11th birthday party or something?
I mean, it is a form of like filtering out, right? That is a form of natural selection, I guess, in a way, where we're just like, not everyone playing the choking game gets to grow up and be a parent, I guess.
That's just how it works sometimes. Or sometimes you survive it to see your own kids.
When I was your age, the choking game took two of my best friends.
That's
Let
right.
me tell you.
You need to stay away from these choking game kids.
And forget about Spoony Stabby Week.
That's right. Oh,
fucking
man.
kidding me.
All right. That's
Oh,
that's
boy.
going to do it. That's going to do it for emails.
Thanks, Levi.
Yeah, thanks, Levi.
That's gonna do it
Please.
for emails forever.
You're still with us, Levi.
Yeah.
Honestly, like just do. I don't know. Ugh, I can't. Some of that stuff just drives me so fucking nuts.
Yeah, and it's the sort of thing that like it's because it's all peer pressure driven and happens at school. There's no way to keep your children away from it forever.
Yeah,
right? I mean, you can only. This is something I've been thinking about a lot more lately. Of like, you can only do your best at instilling common sense into your children, and at some point they will get old enough to have to go out into the world, and you just have to hope you did good enough.
Yeah. I mean, motherfucker comes home yesterday. He's like, I learned what the game Truth or Dare is. And I'm just like, cool, time for me to go to bed forever.
Yeah.
And never wake up.
One of my high school friends, so like we were like probably the last generation of high school kids to not have like phones that you can get pictures and internet on and stuff like that, right? But she had like two younger brothers, and I was asking like one of her younger brother. I was just like chatting with her younger brother about like dumb stuff his friends have done and stuff like that, and he was like not bragging to me, but like mentioning that like, oh yeah, I've seen the Pain Olympics. My friend showed me on the bus. like last week, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, what am I supposed to say? Like, nice, you're a man now. I don't know.
Yep, you made it. I don't know.
That sucks. Any kid on the bus can show beheading videos to your kid. It's like, man, that sucks.
Yeah, there's really no way around that. I mean, there obviously there are some tools built into phones to lock them down a little bit or whatever, but no,
not every parent's going to do that.
Some parents don't give a fuck.
Right? Yeah.
Jan, really?
Turns out.
It's like, don't give your kid a phone, but then every other parent has to not give their kid a phone that's on the bus. You know, that's not gonna happen.
I can't have this conversation anymore. I'm just too.
I am also like, oh shit, fuck. Because it's always been that thing of like, well, I'm just gonna have to do my best, and you know, it's like, hopefully, you know, you teach these kids enough, and then when they do end up with a phone or their own version of the internet, they just have some common sense and they know not to do some shit. But yes, peer pressure, and they get out there, and someone else goes like, hey, have you seen this stuff? It was my dad's favorite video growing up. It's 2 girls, 1 cup. And you're like, oh shit.
Classic.
By that time, that'll be like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I feel like it already is in a lot of ways. Like
that will just be
like if those sorts of videos phase you.
Blippies.
How did you make it this far? Yeah, like
exactly.
This is why I said what Blippi did nothing wrong.
No, Blippi's way worse than 2 girls, 1 cup. Come on, we know this.
Blippi is just trying to do his own jackass thing. Blippi's just trying to be Johnny Knoxville.
No, I'm talking about the fucking
actual current regular Blippi.
Yes, I'm not talking about Blippi's past. I'm talking about him visiting aquariums and being like interested in that. Is worse. Okay, for sure.
Fair enough. Yeah, absolutely. You still watch Raffi concerts on YouTube. They're still there. You can just watch those. Those are fine. You can watch all these young Canadian kids sing along. It's a good time.
Do you think it'd be good for SEO if I title the podcast Blippi's Past?
I don't know, dude.
Only one way to find out.
All right.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Let's
while we're doing crimes, come on.
Let's get it over for this week. We'll be back next week with another edition of whatever this thing is. We'll talk about whoever got acquired. And probably more Rogue Legacy too. I don't know. Have a good week, everybody. See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oops. There we go.